Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday Show. My name is James Chen, and I am joined by Mr. Ultra David, Mr. Tubaware. How you guys doing?
I'm doing so well. I had a nice weekend. I've been playing some video games. I've been doing some work. I've been hanging out with cats. It's been pretty good. What about you, Tupperware?
281-300-8004. Hit Tubo up on the low because Tubo's about to blow. I'm sorry, that song just been stuck in my head all day. I had to do it.
What the
Nice
heck?
work.
What is that?
Like, you don't know about Mike Jones? That's where you're supposed to say who. And then I say Mike Jones, and you say, never mind.
Who?
Old people.
Man, we got it so wrong that we didn't even know that we
Yeah,
were
it's
supposed to
just,
say
you don't
who.
even know the
Oh,
song.
no.
This is like,
No, you're right. I have no idea what you're talking about. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. Over on the side,
It's not just
we're going to
me
be
that-
talking about Goldlewis Dickinson, who has come out for Guilty Gear The Strive. We'll talk about the patch as well and associated stuff. We'll talk about the CPT NA East 1, in part because the matches were cool, but also in part to talk about what Punk said. We're going to have special guest Dacidbro on here to talk about Strive, Power Rangers, all sorts of other stuff. He's a cool dude. As far as the viewer matchup, the 5-5 matchup viewer questions go, we have some fun ones for today. We're going to be talking about Melty Blood. We're going to be talking about Levo and all sorts of other stuff, some other fun things. And we got a fun
Big
mailbag
Levo.
today, too. So let's start by talking about Goldlewis Dickinson. Goldlewis Dickinson. That's what his name is. His name is Goldlewis Dickinson.
God, I don't know if you guys
And I'm
saw
happy.
it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but my favorite meme about his name is someone posted up that one old like Jalico baseball game where they made up all the American names. You've seen that picture before, right?
Yeah.
And so they just said Goldlewis
Steve
Dickinson,
McNichol.
and they put that picture up, and I was like,
Bob Dugnut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some all-time classic names in that. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anyway, it's a genius name. So we talked a little bit about the character last time because he's like in the story mode. Brock's an expert in that, and he gave us the complete rundown, which we really appreciated. And then as we were doing the show last time, they showed him off for the first time. So we were like speculating and, oh, what's this about? And what's that about? Like live on the air. Well, no need to do that anymore because they have released him.
Yes.
Now he's out and available to play. And he's been out since basically midnight-ish, our time here in Pacific. So it's been a while at this point. Have either of you guys had time to test him out yet?
Let me tell you, last night I was asleep when he came out. This morning I got up and worked, and then I ate dinner, and now here I am. So nope, sure haven't played Guilty Gear.
Okay.
I messed
enough.
with him for about an hour before the show started. So at about like 3 o'clock today, I got to test him out and everything like that. And I'm not sure. You actually streamed yourself messing with Goldlewis Dickinson earlier, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna start off by saying I think he's really well designed. Like he's like, you know, in this Behemoth Typhoon, you know, like with all the different Behemoth Typhoons he has, they're really, really picky on how you're going to be able to land them without meter. And that's the part that's really interesting to me. Like his, you know, horizontal swingy wall bounce kind of thing. And the people are saying my audio is a bit low. Is that right? Or am I okay right now?
Hey, you sound fine to me, but I
Okay.
don't know what they can hear.
Let me know in the chat if any of the audios are a little bit out of whack over here. Okay, some people are saying it sounds okay. I'll just move the microphone closer to me. But you know, the straight one, the half circle forward that wall bounces you, for example, combos off of like nothing except for 2H. You know what I mean? Like this is the kind of situation. So if I even just do close slash into 5H, like nothing combos off of it except the half circle back ones, and those always lead to nothing. Like in order to get like really big combos, you have to get like the 2H into the Behemoth Typhoon. So maybe landing raw ones, you'll be able to get some cool stuff going. But like, I feel like they did a good job kind of figuring out how to balance those moves a little bit. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how he plays. Like, I feel like he's a guy who can potentially drain 90% of your life. But at the same time, I feel like landing that is not necessarily... Oops, I forgot to click on update timer. You are right. So let's drop this down a little bit. I feel like he might have trouble landing the big hits for the damage. That's all. So that's kind of the thought process that I have early on. I haven't fought him. I haven't seen any matches with him. So I have no idea if everything that I said is completely wrong and it turns out that you can spam jump D until people die. You know, I'm not sure yet.
I enjoyed him. I thought it was cool. I think he's got an interesting mix of like immediately obvious and accessible things to do. And then also like things where it's not that it like takes you a while to be like, what do I use this for? But it's more like, when should I not do the immediately obvious things? And then like, when do I add in this other stuff? And that's going to, it's going to be a longer project. So I like that. I think that that's a cool mix of attributes in a character. As far as the inputs go, so I'm playing on a stickless, and I actually have this along with my keyboard. Like it's just an extra little side numpad that I almost never use because I just don't use the numpad. I always use the little top row for numbers.
You're using that for reference.
I have it, but I'm actually using this for reference. Yeah, it's actually right here.
Numpad notation, baby, let's go.
It's actually super helpful, and I wish I had been doing it before. But it's not. I mean, for the other things that you do, you don't need it. Like I've done in my brain enough. I know like what is quarter circle and half circle and DP. Like I know what these motions are when it comes to number notation. But 486 was something I just have to keep looking up, like that kind of stuff. 842. I have to be like, like every time, and eventually that won't be the case. But right now, that's definitely something that I am doing. As far as the inputs, right? As far as like actually executing the inputs on a hitbox or stickless in general. At first, it was really tough to do some of these. Again, some of them are obvious, like we've been doing. If you play on hitbox, you've definitely done a half circle forward and back, like for sure. And you've probably done what is basically a tiger knee motion, right? As far as like 268, like you've done that stuff probably. But you probably haven't done 486, right? That's just like a motion that just rarely comes up. So that I'm pretty sure you haven't done it for sure.
You don't know what I do.
I'm absolutely positive you've never done it. And so that motion just feels weird on a hitbox at first because it's just like an order of your fingers and thumb that like just doesn't really come up. So I think if I had a stick, it would be really easy. I think that would be no problem at all. But at first it was difficult on hitbox for me. That said, within the hour that I was trying him out, by the end of it, I was doing him pretty consistently, and it no longer felt like it was a big deal. So I think that it's not going to be a big deal moving forward. And it's not, for me, it's not a big deal to do the 360, the 720, and the 1080 for his super to do more damage, because I already do 720s in other games, and that's something I had to learn over a long period of time that I felt was really difficult for a long time. But thankfully, I'm beyond that at this point, and I can do them pretty easily. So I've already put in the work in advance for that stuff.
I felt like all the people who were like, oh my gosh, hitbox users are going, dude, I never thought for a second that it was going to be harder for hitbox players. People play on Guitar Hero controllers, people play on, steering wheel controllers. Like one of my
steering wheel was made for Goldlewis Dickinson.
Yeah, it's true.
Come on. Absolutely, that controller was made for this character.
The thing about it is, like, one of my friends, he plays first-person shooters, not with WASD, but with WSED. I don't remember which column is up and down, which column is left and right, but that way he makes it so he can hit diagonals a little bit easier or something like that. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's just the thing is once you get used to it, your brain just gets used to it. That's just how it is, right? And so once you practice Goldlewis's moves enough, it's not going to be a problem in my opinion. I just never felt like hitbox users are going to suffer with it, and from your experiences, it sounds like that's definitely the case.
I think that's true.
And in fact, I just want to add one thing is, I actually feel like hitbox users might actually have an easier time using him, because a lot of the times I just have the natural habit of whenever I try to do quarter circle forward, this has been a problem for me for a long time. I naturally over exaggerate the motion, so I never miss it. Right? So a lot of times when I do quarter circle forward, I end up doing half circle forward to almost straight up to hit buttons, and to do that because
that's hap American arcade joystick
Yeah.
shit. you gotta have.
It really is.
It doesn't really work that well, so I really got to put it in.
I mean, like when I try to do Potemkin, for example, when I try to do Kara Mega Fist, I come out with Kara Potbuster, like even though my brain is saying start at down, but I'm starting at forward, like subconsciously, because I just do that. And I've always Tiger Kneed a lot of my special moves, because that way if I hit the button early, it's still at the right time. You know, it's weird. Like I do this, and so sometimes when I've been trying to do stuff with Goldlewis, I'll accidentally go to up, and I'll actually get the wrong special move. You know, and I think on hitbox there's just a lot of accuracy on there. So I actually think hitbox might be a little bit better for him. But that's all. That's what I want.
I hope that all the hitbox players suffer. They are getting what they deserve.
We will be absolutely fine. As far as how the character plays. So I like a bunch of the stuff that he has. I don't know that he's the character that I want to use personally. That might not be the case, but I think that he's got a lot of interesting stuff nevertheless. Like the way that he pressures with these different typhoons, or with putting the helicopter on instead, right? Stealing the turn to put the helicopter out, or instead doing nothing and going for grab, or doing, rather than just like canceling a button into Behemoth Typhoon, canceling it into jump cancel into the air version of Behemoth Typhoon, or into jump kick or whatever. Like he's just got, I feel like there's a lot of different variety in terms of how you can pressure with him, and that seems cool. That seems interesting to me. As far as the neutral game goes, I mean, he's slow, but also in a sense he's not as slow as I kind of thought that he might be, because he doesn't have a double jump, but he does have an air dash, and he does have a ground dash that's a run, and that's it's slow, but like those exist in ways that they don't for a couple of the other big bodies in the game, right? So he does have a little bit extra mobility compared to them in that sense, and he has the minigun that I don't know how great it is, but it's an option from further range, maybe if you're just trying to create some space for yourself. And he can do the super that locks them down from from anywhere, but including from further away. And, you know, and you can do the helicopter if you have level 3. You can follow it in. So I feel like there's a bunch of stuff to do. I don't really have an opinion yet on like how good I think he is. I haven't played him in a match yet.
Right.
I've watched some people play, and he seems like he's got pretty reasonable range and options, and he can go into pressure reasonably well. But he doesn't have fast defensive tools. He doesn't have a DP. Like he may be stuck in some of those situations.
Right.
I've heard that Goldlewis Dickinson is the worst, and I've also heard that Goldlewis Dickinson is pretty okay. I haven't heard anyone say that they think he's broken or anything yet.
Okay.
But those have been the hot takes.
Yeah,
he's all right, and he sucks.
A lot of characters in this game have had the buzz on them that they are super, super good.
Yeah, and a lot of characters have
it will
had the
come
buzz
eventually.
I mean, and a lot of characters have had the buzz that they're super, super bad too. I mean, Chip.
Only a couple.
Dude, Chip, when he first was playable, like in betas and stuff like that, and right when the game came out,
count. That was before it came
everybody
out.
was like, Chip is bad, and and then he turned out to be fine. Now some people think he's the best character in the game. Right now,
Tenso thought he was really good. Vaya thought he was really good. Like,
that's right. It's one of those situations. So I mean, just give him time. I mean, the nice thing about Goldlewis is that he's very unusual, and he's very unique. And I think that, and because his archetype doesn't fit anything that we've ever done before, we don't know what his battle plan is. When I first played Potemkin, I was like, oh my god, this move Garuda is probably just going to be a gimmick. You'll probably never use this move. It doesn't look particularly helpful at all.
It's only the best special move in the game.
Yeah, I'm not denying that, dude.
One
like,
of them,
it is definitely like top 3 potentially. And also the basis of like my entire gameplay with the character now, and it'll take us a while to figure out Goldlewis, but I mean, I just like a lot of things they designed. Like level 3 weapons is really strong, very, very strong, but level 1 builds up significantly faster than level 2, so it feels like it's like maybe twice as fast to fill up level 1, or maybe I should say level 2 takes twice as long, or maybe even 3 times longer. I haven't calculated it, but like you really have to wait to get to that level 3, and so you have to have this decision of whether you're going to go for the level 2s more often, or or try to save up for the level 3s for a Hail Mary get in satellite super, or helicopter bomb thing. And I don't know. I think though. I think, like I said, I'm really impressed with how he's designed, and I can't wait to see how people use him. Again, like David said, I don't think he's going to be a character I'm going to play, but he's super cool. I love the uniqueness of him. I haven't seen anything like him in a fighting game, so I'm curious to see how it's going to play out.
I guess I don't get that sense myself. He seems to me like he's a fairly. He's got some unique tools in the sense that the way that his inputs work, but I think if his inputs just like weren't on regular special moves, then there wouldn't be anything that strikes me as like new, like fun. And he seems like he's a good pressure character, is I think what I would say.
Right.
But he's just somebody who's hunting for frame traps, and he's trying to get in there, and he's got his little like slow sonic boom on the way in, and I don't like, none of that to me strikes me as like really breaking the bounds of stuff that I haven't seen before.
For example,
it does seem like it could be fun and interesting.
I mean, for example, his best combo moves are the half circle ups, and like his fastest, like his really, he has 2 lows off of Behemoth Typhoon. One of them has absolutely no range. The other one has more startup and actually has range, but that one has to be done from up. So those things can't just be done from the ground. But, as the game keeps going, people are going to find ways to hide their, like whiffing punches to get access to ground moves and stuff like that, or figuring out how to do, because I can't just throw out half circle forward over top, with Goldlewis just willy-nilly. But it's a great move, and it's like I said, it's one of his best combo moves. So, I'm just really curious to see how that kind of interesting limitation in execution, right? You're right. If they just made it all natural inputs, he wouldn't be interesting. But the fact that 4 of his versions of his moves are hidden behind this ability that you can't do on the ground, I can't wait to see how people are going to figure out how to get around that kind of thing. So,
yeah, when I was testing him, I was doing the whiff button into putting those special moves in,
right?
And I was trying to treat it like a 360, or maybe like a 720, where you do have to hide them. So that's something that obviously you as well, like we've done that in other games. It doesn't feel like it's unusual.
Yeah,
and for him, as far as like playing, timing when your inputs actually come out. You can actually wait quite a long time. You can press like up, then forward, then down. Like doesn't have to be fast. You can actually have quite a wide window in that to make them happen.
Yeah, I do want to address one of the things that someone said in chat. Faultless defense does not work because faultless defense is canceled by ups. So if you actually try to faultless defense, as soon as you hit up, you jump. Like, you can't lock yourself on the ground with that. Whiff throw, maybe, but whiff throws... I mean, if it was Street Fighter V, yes, whiff throws. But because this is not Street Fighter V, whiff throws does not work. So, honestly, standing P has been the best way to hide the motion right now, as far as I can tell.
Which is probably why it whiffs over a lot of standing characters' heads.
Interesting. Could be.
It's almost like they intended that.
Yeah.
Weird.
Could be.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And yeah, I mean, I was doing training mode versus Goldlewis Dickinson. The guy's not a small dude, and my 5P is going over his head, so, while he's crouching, so for sure. So, yeah.
All right, cool.
I'm just like really curious to see how that's all gonna play out with him. Super excited to see how he goes. So,
anything else to say on him as a character?
His win pose is the best win pose ever. I don't know if you saw the win pose yet. So the win pose, after he beats the guy, the camera pans out, so it zooms in on him, but he always gets a phone call, so he turns his back away from the opponent, and is like, huh? And starts talking. And the opponent gets beamed up in an alien abduction beam of light, and you see them going, ah! And they even make noises like, ah! Into the sky. And then he turns around, and they're gone, and he's like, what the heck? Like, depending on what he says, like, it's a different conversation. Like, he
also has 99 different win quotes based on the time that the timer ends.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Someone dynamite that?
Dead serious.
No, I mean, people were showing videos of it on Twitter. Of like, if he wins at 78 or 77 or 76 or etc. all the way down, he has different voice lines.
Holy crap! That guy earned his pay. Whoever did his voice earned his pay. I mean, did they really expect you to be able to kill someone at 99 seconds? Okay. Well,
I don't know. Maybe it starts at like 70 seconds or something like that, but it's a ton of different voice lines.
I mean, he can kill Chip with one super by itself if Chip throws the fireball and he does the full.
If timer is
1080.
infinite, he thinks his watch is broken. I hope that's real. I hope that's actually real. That would be amazing.
That's real too. That's awesome.
So cool.
Man. I love little details like that. It's really cool.
That's amazing.
Well, okay, yeah, I mean, he seems cool. Again, he just came out today. Check him out if you're curious. Like, basically everybody on this website is playing him right now if they're playing Guilty Gear.
Right.
So you have a lot of opportunities to check him out. As far as the other stuff that came along with him, so it wasn't just that they put in Goldlewis Dickinson. They also did some patching, but it was very light, and there wasn't any balance changes that were like balance changes. There were some bug fixes to a few characters. Other than that, they just did stuff like in player match and network mode, made it so like players can queue up as spectators even when there are no players having a match at a dual station, which makes it easier for people to do streams and the like, because they can just hang out like on the station even when nobody's playing, which is pretty nice.
So good.
Spectators will no longer be kicked from the room after a certain length of time without making any inputs, same kind of thing, right? You can just hang out there as the streamer, which is really helpful. Supposedly fix some other issues with how the connections work, so it's really just more that kind of stuff than actual gameplay changes.
Yeah, I might actually try to go back to running the lobbies on Thursday again, see if that actually works.
I think that would be cool. I'd really like to try that out.
Nice if it works. Man.
But let's talk a little bit about what you guys would have wanted to see along in that patch. Did you want to see a more detailed character balance patch? Is that something you're already angling for?
No, it's too soon. Saul needs changes, but everyone else is questionable. Like, we don't really know enough, I don't think. Like, we need more time. Yeah. I didn't expect to get any character balance changes in this patch. I expect more like month 2, like the end of month 2. I think maybe with the next character that comes out, that's when we'll get a real balance change. But I was hoping that they would fix the communicating with servers, because man,
the amount of time
I communicate with that server more than most of my friends. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That is 100% true for me.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, those are pretty bad. What about you, James? Did you want anything?
So I do feel like they should have put a balance patch out there.
Okay.
So here's the thing. The competitor in me says no, they didn't need a balance change. It's too soon, obviously, right? We're still learning the game. However, the other side of me now, which I'm always thinking about casual players and appealing to people and things like that, yes, they should have toned down Soul / a little bit, because he is driving people away from the game. Like, he's literally, and like the memes are out there. I mean, you see, even so much to the point that at Big Levo, one of the top 8 players, So Sick Nash fan, got listed as a Soul player in the poster instead of a May player, right? I mean, so that's how dominating Soul is. I mean, look, there's just so much, like, Soul is, you know, we had that conversation before where Soul, is he as strong as Third Strike Chun? Probably, but everybody else is Yuri and Makoto Dudley level, so it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. And again, some people are even thinking that Chip might be a stronger character than Soul. However, tournaments are being pretty dominated a lot by Souls, and when you watch him play, it's not fun to watch. You just punch.
I don't agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. I love watching the bad guy up there.
I think he looks cool, man.
I don't mind it, but like I said, from a casual viewer standpoint, you know, this is a brand new game. This is a game that has a lot of traction. It's attracting a lot of people, has a lot of attention to it. And I feel like that's something they should have addressed, just to make it so it's not as clearly, obviously strong so that, you know, people can, because like I said, I see some people are just like, I can't deal with this character anymore. You know what I mean?
So do
like,
you mean people who are watching, or do you mean people who are playing? They don't want to do
both kind of like in a but at a more casual level, and maybe even some at the little bit of higher level, but more at a casual level. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think people are kind of tired of fighting against him. That's kind of the impression.
I guess I'm surprised that people who are at a more casual level are worried that Soul is too good at the casual level, because I don't know that makes sense to me, that like he's obviously better at a casual level. The stuff that he's really good at is like he does 1,000 damage, and that's really hard. I mean, it's not honestly the most executionally difficult, but like if you're at a casual level, that's probably not happening. So I don't know, that surprises me, but okay. I think
I would just argue that at a casual level, you don't care about balance patches. Like, in my mind, if you care about balance patches and winning and losing, then you're beyond casual. You're trying to be a competitive player at that point.
Yeah. Like I imagine this being more maybe like at a mid level where like some people do have their combos down, and then maybe not like the rest of it, but like, you know, they have the combos down at least, and they get to do.
I guess you're right. I don't mean like floors 1 through 3 and, you know, floors 1 through 4 or even maybe 1 through 5. I'm thinking more like 6, 7, 8 kind of range. But for the casuals as well, I think it affects the viewer experience as well. You know, because you just sit there and watch Soul, and then whenever Soul does his thing, commentators are always going to make Soul jokes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just, I just think that there's a lot of negativity associated with it that I think could have been fixed if they just nerfed a tiny thing from Soul, like just make it so his far slash has worse frame data on block. That's all. Maybe he loses his turn on block, and that's it, because he can still frame trap you by canceling it into heavy punch anyway. But at least he has to cancel into heavy punch, so if you guess right and block, you block the heavy punch, and then you can try to get out of there at that point. That's all. Like I said, from a competitor standpoint, from my standpoint, I don't care. I don't need a patch. I understand, and like I said, I know that, like, even in Japan, people think Chip might be better than Soul, you know, and Chip very well could be more toxic to fight against. But like I said, I just feel like as a, you know, from a game health standpoint, I would have liked to have seen at least a minor tweak. That's all. And maybe just that. Just the one tweak and change nothing else. That's all. So
yeah, I mean, I don't want one yet. I think I have the same perspective as Tubbleware. I don't want one yet.
Same.
But like, I think we all think that whenever it comes, they should nerf Soul very slightly. Like, it doesn't need to be, Soul doesn't need to get blown up.
No.
He shouldn't be blown up.
No Arcueid, please.
A couple of things about him. That's all. And then maybe if that's not enough, maybe, okay, you try it again in another few months or whatever. Just like take it slowly. There doesn't need to be a blow up. He's a cool character. He's got a lot of cool things going on. I think some of his combos look super sick. I was playing against my buddy the other day, and he was playing Soul, and he had some really cool conversions. And I was like, oh, nice pickup on that. You were like really aware. I died in those rounds because he did the combo. But like, that was it was cool to watch, I guess. So I hope that nothing big happens to him. And when it comes to everybody else, I still feel like it's not time yet. He's the only one that I would want to make any changes to right now. So that's why I feel like just let's wait a little bit and see how it goes. Maybe they make him better. Like, who knows? Classically, people think that Arceus is terrible at this, but hopefully not. And for others, I just found out several days ago that like more info on how Faust's Fro works, and like how people trying to escape under things with 6P can't do it if they have Fro on. Like, stuff like that's being figured out. And I don't know if there's going to be a lot of more like really in the weeds stuff like that'll be figured out. But people are improving with characters, so in my view, still give it a little bit of time.
I mean, honestly, I think probably the only real buff that's deserved right now is for Potemkin, because Potemkin is a super fair and honest character in this game, as all grapplers always are. He has to play such honest footsies in the game, and he has to work so hard because every other character has all these cheap special moves, and Potemkin clearly doesn't have any good special moves in the game at all whatsoever. So, you know, I think We need to, justice for grapplers. Yes, give Potemkin a green hand. There you go. There.
He doesn't even have footsies if you think about it. Like, he's
Dude,
not playing footsies.
He doesn't need footsies, dude.
He's just doing other stuff.
Potemkin's so good in this game.
Obviously, he's good. I know.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's good. Yeah, and I still think Axel's good, and I haven't run into any characters that I think are terrible, nor seen anybody who I think is terrible. Some who should probably get buffs, but in terms of what they actually need, let's wait a little bit longer. Hopefully they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And any other? Oh yeah.
Moving on.
No,
well, while we're talking about this, did you have something else to say on this?
No, I'm just saying. There's someone in the chat whose name is Otsugeki, and I feel like he's been in the chat for a long time. I've seen that name forever, and now when I see it, all I can think of is Otsugeki. Otsugeki.
Oh man.
So I feel, I'm sorry. I apologize.
James, okay.
We'll get the info on that. Okay. In addition, before we move on to the next one, according to an interview with Comunidad Arc System Works, they are going through the verification processes for crossplay. But there are still many practical issues like schedules and the running costs of matching servers. It will take a little more time before we can make a concrete announcement. So that's in the works. We suspected as much, but there's a little bit of info letting you know that is in fact the case. And
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great. I mean,
I
I'm
actually
only
didn't
playing on
expect
PC.
it, to be honest. Yeah, I
didn't
didn't
expect
expect it.
Oh yeah.
That's why I cross-bought. I have it on PS4 as well. If I would have thought that crossplay was coming, then I wouldn't have bought it.
Yeah, I didn't expect it before launch, but there have been some signs since launch that they've been talking about it a little bit here and there. So,
I must have missed it.
So anyway, that's going to be happening. No announcement on that in terms of timing or anything like that, but there's, I guess, something that's in the works.
I mean, what's cool about that is it just makes it sound like that they are definitely looking into doing they're willing probably to look into upgrading the game with a lot of things. So,
For sure.
I really honestly feel like the lobby is probably 1/10 what they were hoping to have made it by the time the thing came out, because whoever pitched it was like, here's my grand vision, this should take no time, and then they discovered that it would take all the time.
Daisuke's vision.
Daisuke's vision, yeah, exactly.
All right, we move on to talking about CPT NA East 1 for Street Fighter V on the Capcom Pro Tour. We'll talk about the tournament just a little bit. I mean, just a little bit before we talk about the actual reason that we're doing this in the second position here, because typically we do tournaments later on. SF5 results, won by Punk. He played Karen and Vega and Ken, and it was him versus Idom in Grand Finals, Laura and Poison. And it was a really, really good Grand Finals. If you're interested in Street Fighter V at all, and you haven't checked that out, I really recommend it. The top 8 in general was really good. Mandrake had some really, really good matches.
Yeah.
Against a bunch of people. Arturo Sanchez didn't lose. He lost in the very first tournament round, and then made it all the way up to 4th place overall. And he'd lost one game in doing so until he got just blown up by Mandrake.
Very John Choi.
It was wild. Anyway, a lot of good stuff. A lot of different characters.
I'm so glad, by the way.
All over the East Coast.
I'm so glad, by the way. Now seeing Arturo tweet out, Dhalsim is cheap. That makes me happy to see. So
Dhalsim's good. There's no doubt about it, man.
He's super good. The character's super good.
All right. Here's why we're talking about it in the second place position for the show tonight. So after the tournament was won by Punk, what we do on the CPT is we invite the winner on to give an interview. And, we ask about, hey, how did it go? What do you think? What's coming next? What else is new in your life? Whatever we talk about, it's just kind of shooting the bull with friends, basically. It's more or less how it goes. But when we were talking with Punk, among other things, Punk said that, I asked, let me say it like this. I asked Punk, what's your game plan for training for Capcom Cup going to be? Because there are going to be so many good players in Capcom Cup, killers from all over the world. How are you going to approach that? What's your game plan for training for it? And he was like, I'm just going to play Guilty Gear. That was his response.
I'm going to just play Guilty Gear.
Exactly. And further than that, he expounded that he says that because although he really likes the game Street Fighter V, the online play is really bad, and he doesn't want to subject himself to the online play.
I mean, did he say that? Did he say that part right there?
I mean, the phrasing I don't remember exactly, but like, yeah, it was basically that's what he said in whatever. It's not verbatim, but like more or less, yes. So that was picked up by a bunch of people on Twitter and actually like a bunch of news websites. I've seen it like all over various gaming related and esports related news websites too, talking about this moment of like, oh, player talks about other game on one game's stream right afterward. What do you guys think about this? And was that out of line? Was it cool? Props to him. Like, what's your take? Where do you fall on this?
Dude, more power to him, dude. More power to him. I think it's fine. I mean, look, the net code for Street Fighter V is, look, the best way I'll put it like this. If Street Fighter V did rollback netcode correctly, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus would have rollback netcode. That's just like, there's so much responsibility on Street Fighter V for ruining the perception of rollback. It is basically...
Dude, imagine if it had Gear Strive netcode 5-6 years ago. Unbelievable. Like, we live in a different time.
There would be no anti-rollbacksers right now. I mean, they wouldn't they wouldn't exist. You know, it is because of Street Fighter V that we have people who are anti-rollback, and that hurts me deep in my soul. You know what I mean? And so, like, you can't really fault Punk for saying that the lag tilts him, because it does, right? I mean, it can be frustrating to deal with, and you play Guilty Gear Online, and like, okay, yeah, you're gonna run into a match every once in a while where it's the connection's not good, but like, outside of that, like, I played some dude in Germany and it felt like I was offline, dude. Like, I mean, come on. And I just think about that every time. I always think about that. If Street Fighter V had perfect netcode when it came out, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus would have rollback netcode. Like it literally would. Like, I just feel like that's a thing, and it's so for me to have Punk kind of say that kind of stuff. You know, look, we're just gonna be honest in the FGC, right? We got to be honest about that kind of thing. So,
someone in Capcom office right now is sitting with the commentary Death Note, and it just has like Sajam's name crossed out in the writing in JC Hensor.
Yeah, dude,
that's your career, James. I'm sorry, it's
that's
done.
Dude, Sajam
gonna hold that grudge now.
Sajam even said that on his stream. He's like, Capcom's Death Note, they crossed out my name and wrote Punk's name in there, and now they're writing my name.
Punk, and now it's James Jen. Yeah, all of you. Yeah. You're done. So the way I feel is Punk doesn't know Capcom shit. Like, what does Punk owe Capcom? If CPT wants to give interviews to people after they win, they're gonna say what they want to say. I just don't. I don't think there's a right or wrong in this situation. I think Punk did what he's allowed to do. Like, he felt a certain way, he expressed it. I'm not gonna like give praise for him being real. Like, that's all he's just being real. Like, I think that's how people should be. I don't like when people brown nose game devs. I think it's stupid and awful. You don't have to be an asshole about it. And I mean, like, he was snide. He was a bit snarky about, I'll just play Guilty Gear. But also, he gave the message of, look, I want to play your game, but I can't. And like, that's like how I've been with Sam Show. I really want to play your game, but I can't. So I'm going to be pissed off about it until you fix it. And I think Punk had every right. Like, that's his livelihood, man. That's how he makes his money. I don't know, man. Imagine remoting into your work every day and you do data entry. So you have to do X amount of things per day, but you're on like this super laggy system and it cuts your ability to perform by like 30%. You're going to be pissed off because your numbers are going to look bad. It's going to be reflected upon that. And that's just what Punk is. He's clocking in, he's putting in his hours, but he can't play to his maximum because the netcode sucks. So I think he was totally in his right to say something about it.
For context, he now lives in Florida these days, but he actually went back up to his family's house in Philadelphia to play from Philadelphia because it's got a better connection versus other people in the tournament. It was a very like Northeast heavy top 8, which is the New York area just has a lot of strong players, and that's kind of how it went. New York, New Jersey.
Did you guys see his mom popping off with
Oh
him?
yeah.
I did.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
That was sick. Yeah.
That was so good. Well, Punk was like, "Hey, don't say that."
Yeah,
So
she went too far and he reined her in. Yeah.
Punk reined her in, dude. Like, think about that for a second, dude. It was so good.
Man, I was crying laughing when I
That
saw
was
that. That was
hilarious
so
for
good.
sure.
I don't know if she didn't know that he was still streaming or something, Like,
I'm sure she knew. She was up there going off, right? Like, looking in the camera, like, yeah, we're the best.
I think she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of my reaction in the moment, like you can see my face kind of go like I have like wide eyes, kind of. And some people interpret that to mean like, oh, David's like mad that's what Punk said. And in reality, I was like, internally, I was like, that's hilarious that he said that on screen.
Yeah, Shay. I mean, you have one of the commentators right here in the middle of your screen. I don't think he was too offended.
Yeah.
Oh, did somebody think that I was offended?
Shay On said the commentators themselves might not have been upset, but you're here.
I'm here.
So
yeah, I mean, I can tell you that I'm not upset.
Yeah.
As far as so before we do the interviews, like the people who work production talk with the player who won, and they're like, all right, like don't be a jerk, don't say anything that you would live to regret or whatever. Like don't make other people mad. Like whatever spiel is that you give to somebody who's about to be on camera. Like it's not Punk specifically, but like that's just what that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like have an expectation that there'd be like real gnarly stuff coming out of him or anything, and I don't think that this was. I mean, I understand the perspective, of course. Like it's not great online. I do kind of think that we like overstate how bad it is because it's not as bad as many out there, but
it's not as bad as it once was.
And it's not nearly as good as others. So like by comparison, I get it. Like if you're playing Gear or you're playing Street Fighter V, the difference is clear. It's obviously clear. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't know if it's like on the one hand, in terms of the results for Punk, I don't really expect anything to happen from Capcom. I think I'd be really surprised about that. And if they do, bummer for like everybody, I think. But yeah, I don't think it's actually like really bad. In fact, for Punk, like people have been like stoked that he said it, and it might actually have positive benefits overall. People like go to his stream more or like listen to his YouTube videos more. So
Punk
anyway,
did exactly what he should do. 100%.
Yeah. And I do want to have plenty of space for the players to be able to express themselves. Again, like within some bounds, I don't like, but yeah, to me, my personal perspective was that this did not, violate any bounds in that way. Yeah. So I thought it was fine.
I think one of the things one of the main ways to look at it, and iDrop is saying this in the chat, and I think there is a little bit of context that has to be added, and he kind of mentions it. Dude, we've been talking about the netcode for 5 whole years, right? And while it's had a little bit of improvement, we had a fan-made patch that made it the best that we felt like it ever was, and they killed that, right? I mean, like, there is like, if it was something that was like an issue that was for 1 month, and then Punk came out and was like, I'm gonna play Guilty Gear because of this 1 month problem, like, maybe, it's out of line, but this is just one of those things that this has been happening for 5 years, 5.5 years now, right? And it is frustrating to deal with that because we've been saying since season 1, since season 2, like, rollback works, it's implemented wrong. People who have worked on rollback netcode were like, here's the exact problem that you are experiencing. We've run into these same problems. We know exactly what the bug is. We can fix it. And like, it never happened, right? And it is a frustration as a player to have to deal with. And
sure, like
you said, though, it's weird because I still would rather play Street Fighter V online than half the other games because most of my connections are pretty good, but it's like there is frustration there. So
totally. As for iDrop, first of all, good work, congrats. But second of all, he says, I do think we as the players should demand, iDrop made top 8, just for clarification.
Yeah.
I do think we as the players should demand some kind of communication from the devs because we've been protesting the netcode the exact same way with no response from them for years. Well, that's the response, right? Like that, the response is the no response. That's not going to change. I mean, they're not getting back to you because they're not going to do anything about that. Hopefully SF6 has good netcode. I feel like I expect it. If it's not good netcode, even bigger blow up, because I am telling you right now, I expect it to have good netcode. If it doesn't, big problem.
You're talking about Street Fighter 6?
SF6, at some point it'll come out. It better have good netcode, right? But as far as SF5 goes, it would be awesome if they change that, but that's not going to happen at this point.
Right.
That ship has surely sailed.
One of the things that I've said before, too, is that, there is a lot to be said about buying goodwill, having developers and stuff like that buy goodwill. But for a product at the end of its life cycle, it's probably not worth buying that goodwill. But for something that's coming out brand new, it's definitely worth it. And so if Street Fighter 6 comes out, that thing had better have immaculate netcode. Like that thing had better have immaculate netcode. And I have a lot of hope for it because honestly, the last year and a half of Street Fighter 5 has been amazing. Like the stuff that they've been doing have been super top notch, and just in terms of quality of everything, like Dan just being awesome, and even just like the commercials that they're doing for them are cool.
Where is Oro?
Yeah.
Great question. Great question.
Where is Oro?
Oro is probably in the doldrums of Japan being in a state of emergency for the last while, I imagine.
People are probably right.
I thought this was America. I want instant gratification, damn it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
There's probably, I've had some people say this, and I think they're right about this. He'll probably come out Evo weekend. How much you want to come out? He's going to come out Evo weekend. So
okay. So mid-August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it might be him and Akira at the same time. Who knows? So we'll see.
No way. No way they released two at the same time.
Yeah. All right. Anything else to say on this one?
There was some...
I should clarify. I haven't heard of. I'm not aware of any negative feelings or response by anybody who was in production there at that time when it came to what Punk said. I haven't talked with anybody in Capcom, but I haven't also seen any indication that they are mad about it.
No, I know we're out of time here, but I do have to ask you, David, because and Tubo actually, because when I was watching the grand finals, I'm just going full Sports Center analysis mode here. Do you guys agree with me that you feel like it was a mistake for Idom to go back to Laura? I felt like if he had stuck with Poison, he probably would have taken it.
He was up 2-0 in the second set with Poison, which he had just won 5 straight with. And then he switched to Laura, and he lost the next 3 games with Laura. Yeah, of course it was a mistake to go to Poison. I mean, to go from Poison to Laura.
Right,
of course.
Right. Okay.
Punk said so, too.
Yeah, I mean, he killed his own momentum doing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a bad
Absolutely.
move.
Pretty weird.
He wouldn't make mistakes.
Yeah, right, for sure. Okay. And he did make that character change, although in the opposite direction, when he won Capcom Cup over Punk. So.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, he switched to Poison, and Poison won, so I feel like Poison's the right character.
I mean, maybe it was just a point of pride for him. Maybe he wanted to prove to himself he can beat Punk with Laura.
Right.
I wonder.
I don't know.
Oh, iDrop says he even admitted that it was the wrong call.
There you go. Okay.
All right. Cool. I guess that's it for this. So, you want to take a short break and get Dacidbro on here, and we'll talk with him about Strive, etc.?
It's absolutely. So when we come back, it will be Dacidbro, and we'll be talking all sorts of cool video game stuff with him. Be right back, guys. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tuesday show. We are going to bring on our guest for today, and that is, of course, Mr. Dacidbro, aka David Brolight. How you doing?
Hello, welcome. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well. Another David comes on the show. Unbelievable.
I'm not David.
I thought I had a monopoly on this name, but it turns out I don't.
You never do.
Aren't you a copyright lawyer? Why don't you copyright your name already?
Genius. I love it. Let me talk to the thousands of other Jewish lawyers named David who work specifically on copyright.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe not Ultra David, but there's many other lawyers out there named David.
I mean, look,
who work on copyright specifically.
I'm gonna say this, I mean, obviously, he was it somebody else typoed your name as Dacid, so maybe we could just leave you as Dacid at this point. So
That's absolutely right. And about the David fight, I mean, they had a fight for Joshua just the other day.
that's right.
So maybe
That's
we could
right.
get all the Davids in one part, grab pool noodles, just bang it
That
out
would be so cool.
A bunch of Davids banging it out.
in a
All
field.
right. Well, we brought you on to talk about a bunch of stuff. Let's talk about your. I mean, I always think it's cool to start out by talking about people's backgrounds and how is it that you found yourself getting into fighting games, then getting into them enough to actually get into tournaments and playing them competitively.
Yeah, so I made a big mistake a long time ago, and I was playing Smash Melee when I was in junior high, and then I decided with Brawl coming out that I was going to get into tournaments. Then I quickly realized I didn't actually like Brawl, so I jumped ship, went over to BlazBlue Calamity Trigger, and picked the worst character in the game, or maybe second worst.
Yeah.
So that was also a disaster. But then he got buffed in CS1, and I had a track to top 3 at Evo. So that was where I really started, because I had all this, ahead of time spent on this character that was now ridiculous. So that was where it all began for me.
Dang.
What was it about or maybe? So okay, you talk about Melee. What got you into Melee in the first place?
Yeah, that game was just amazing. I mean, there's no way. It's been said to death by now, but at the time, it was just this ridiculously good fighting game. And even when you're 11 years old, you can just feel it, right? It's just this awesomely responsive game. I picked Marth, so I felt great. I didn't know anything at the time, but
Wow. What luck.
even at that point, you can tell just hitting the F smash button, right? Like that's a ridiculous character. So yeah, I got hooked on Melee, and I was playing that game for a long time after it launched.
Was there something about like the competition aspect that drew you in, or was that something about the strategy of it? Like what side of it hooked you into fighting games?
Yeah, I was always very competitive when I was younger, and I didn't get a lot of video games competition from my brother. I had a strong sibling rivalry, but he gave up on the video games part of it really early. So I ended up, like just reaching out to anyone that I could fight, and I just, kept becoming the biggest fish of like ridiculously small ponds, right? And then I went to an offline tournament for the first time, and I got murdered, and that was where I was hooked, because I was just blown away by how much better these people were than anyone I'd ever fought before. I just didn't really think they had existed at that point.
You just
So
don't
that
think
was the
Yeah, I was about to say, you just don't think they can be that. It's one of my favorite things is when you find out how bad you are at a game, like when you know what the potential is for game. One thing I do want to mention, we are aware a little bit of the audio issue for those people who are listening to this on podcast, so we apologize about that, but just wanted to make sure that we are aware that we are aware of that situation right now. So,
one thing.
okay.
He's gonna take a break, I think. And
Okay.
Try to make something happen. Yeah, that's a classic story, though.
All right, we'll see if it's any better. I saw someone say it was explicitly clipping. That's a word I can do something with. So we'll see if that's any better.
Okay.
So that's a really classic story. I know a ton of people, including myself, and I think everybody else on the show, who have had that story of like, okay, I'm good among like my brothers, and then I'm good among like the kids in my neighborhood, and then like it gradually gets a little bit bigger until you're like, oh, actually, I'm terrible. Like that finally happens.
Yeah.
But that's what drags you in. Like that is actually the moment where you're like, oh, I want to spend more time doing this.
Yep. That it immediately becomes something more worthwhile to you, and especially at that time, I was really looking for something to care about, and I definitely found that in competitive gaming.
Nice.
And it became a motivation to chase through the most apathetic years of my life, and it really helped me get my life on track.
Dang.
Interesting. Wow.
Cool. Now, what's interesting is obviously there's also a lot of people who might know you more for your Marvel 3 play than your BlazBlue. But would you say that like deep in your heart, BlazBlue is still the game that that speaks to you the most?
Definitely not, actually. BlazBlue is very far from the games that I enjoy now, and it's actually because it's like too competitive, and it's like it's so reactions based in a way that is not fun for me to optimize. It's an insanely skillful game, and there's so many interesting matchups in it. But man, I feel miserable trying to learn how to play Blaze Blue. And it's no fault of the game. It's just not for me. I actually really like the way that Guilty Gear moves, where you're optimizing, right now it's a tighter list of matchups. You're optimizing for huge hit confirms. That matters a lot. Risk context, converting the right big hits early in the combo. I really like that kind of stuff, where I'm changing based on my specific opponent, what is happening in the specific match that we're playing. And I love it when novel things are happening and I can invent something even in real time. Those are the ways that I like to play.
But before we talk about Strive specifically, James talked about Marvel. You've played other games as well. Talk to me about your evolution in terms of what you enjoy and how you came to figure that out.
Yeah, I guess I had to have a lot of terrible experiences where I realized far too late in the game's lifespan that I was making some type of big mistake, whether that was the character I was picking wasn't strong enough, the character I was picking wasn't tailored to me. Maybe I had to even try to figure out that the characters I like to play and the characters that I do well with are not even what I currently believe. It was just this ridiculously long journey of finding out the tools that I appreciate and the tools that work for me specifically, not just, what's good for people. What do people think is good? It's what works for me. And in the end, I came to realize I need a reversal. Like on a character that I'm trying to play tournament level, I need a reversal. I cannot do it without one. And that's, I think, the biggest realization. So then in Persona, I played Akihiko, which I thought was a great idea because now I've got a reversal. It'll be fine. He had no neutral tools that could help him win in some matchups. So it was just this constant discovery of it all comes back to pick a top tier. It really does in the end. If you want to win in a tournament, you got to pick a top tier. Sometimes that's not the goal, and it's okay to deviate from that. But if I'm not picking a higher top tier character with a reversal, I don't expect good things from myself in tournament anymore. And it's kind of as simple as that. Sometimes you don't need to do well in tournament. But if you're planning to do well in tournament, get yourself some good tools. No one expects the carpenter to show up with no tools, So.
But speaking of, doing well in tournaments, do you think it would be fair to describe you as the Justin Wong of Catherine, who was undefeated at first in that game?
The Justin Wong of Catherine?
Yeah, wow. When you guys started playing in it, you were undefeated for so many tournaments in a row, right? So,
the history has changed there at some point. So around 2017, a guy named Shaz started winning, and he did not stop winning at all, ever. So my personal experience with that game has changed so much since, people were talking about 2015, 2016. It's Shaz. Shaz is just ludicrous in that game. So, you talk about a legendary player, I'm thinking Shaz.
Okay.
But obviously there's no reversals in that game, but what was it about that game?
There
are reversals. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Specifically, Catherine Classic has a way to interrupt the dive kick chain. So there is, in fact, literally speaking, a reversal in that game.
Oh, dang.
But
cool.
not
That's awesome.
Catherine full body.
Now,
what is it about the reversal specifically that you want? You can have top tier characters that don't have reversals. That's not unheard of in games. What is it about that thing that you like?
Yeah, I've noticed over time that I am particularly good at picking apart any minor bad habit. So even if that bad habit is normally a good thing, like just doing a meaty on my knockdown, if you do it the same way every time, I'm going to start to pick up on it, and I can pick apart people's good plans with a Dragon Punch in ways that I can't if I don't have it.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to say, because that's different than how many people pick their characters. Even the discussion of I want a top tier character, then people might say, I want a top tier character that has pressure. I want a top tier character that zones. I like the top tier character that does command grabs. Whatever the archetype, right? You're not thinking about it as archetype. You're thinking about it as what complements you as the actual person playing.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's very similar. I mean, honestly, another player that I've heard say very similar is Gamerby. Gamerby has said that he never wants to play a character without a DP. So, you know, maybe a very similar kind of mindset right there.
Huh. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So, like, chart that process in terms of your picking of characters. Like, at what point did you realize and did you like notice immediately that was helpful?
Yeah, I definitely picked up on it when I started to play Akihiko in Persona, and I was getting just superior results to what I was getting with a weaker version of Bang. I kind of thought I needed a mobile character, a character that could cheat neutral, because that's just what I grew up on, so to speak, in tournaments, because I was playing Bang for as long as I knew. We jumped over to a new game. I picked up Akihiko just sort of on a whim, and I realized with this defensive tool, I can do so much damage to people's, like I said, good plans. When they're doing things right and I can still interrupt it, that is really appealing to me. And, after that, I realized it should be a better character than Akihiko, because there were so many nightmare matchups in that game. And I guess to talk about modern fighting games, Leo is an amazing fit for me. I didn't realize it during Xrd, early on. I didn't understand how good he was, but man, in Strive, he is an amazingly powerful character. He's got a reversal. He's got great neutral kit. It's just like a dream come true character for me. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Strive. So you have experience.
Let's talk about it.
A bunch of different games, right, over the last, sounds like 15-ish years, quite a while at this point. Dozen-ish years, maybe. When did...
I think it's 12,
like
yeah.
Anyway, a while. How did you approach Strive, even before getting into, like, choice of characters, yada yada? This is a game that's coming out. We all know it's going to be a little different than the previous gears. What was your mindset going into it?
Oh, geez, it was so easy for me. I saw the Leo trailer, and I was just like, I'm home. It was the easiest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I've already played Leo for so long, and then they show me the trailer, and he's crazy in the trailer. He has tools he's never had before.
Right.
And the system benefits him in such a huge and simple way, and I noticed this right away.
Why did they give him a command throw? Why did they... Anyways.
You can take or leave the command grab. I was ecstatic about it, but that wasn't the key thing. The thing that really mattered was, in Xrd, you have the ability to air tech. In Strive, you don't. You just hit the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're up in the air, up in the sky, it was a huge problem for Xrd Leo, and it was very annoying, and I couldn't ever figure out a way around it. And now I don't have to. If I hit you in the air, it's a huge combo. It's just, jump S, air dash, jump S. It's probably a corner conversion. You took like 250 damage and you died. So just a major difference for Leo as a character.
And that's what really dragged you in, huh? Just the fact that you felt like the character, some of the issues for the character were going to be not there anymore?
Between that and Blitz Shield not existing, absolutely.
Okay,
Because
but I mean, but having
body over and over again, he struggled with that parry in Xrd 1. Once it got to Revelator, you couldn't guess low blitz against mid and low at the same time. Right. That was when Leo started to feel very comfortable. But now there is no blitz shield. So what do you do about Brynhilder if you don't have a reversal?
Right. So I mean,
just hang out.
Obviously, very early on, we saw Sonic Fox with success using Leo in some early tournaments, and people started talking about Leo as being one of the strongest characters. Do you feel like Leo is potentially like top 3, top 2, or anything in the game right now?
Something like top 4. Yeah, I think it would be very hard for me to imagine he's not. And I was saying that as early as the beta, although I wasn't saying it very loudly. I've been through a lot of Arc patches. So, his kit is crazy. He has so many stable matchups. And if you're, a legendary player like Sonic Fox, you're going to find the right tool in that kit. And like I was talking about earlier, he just has tools on tools, and you should be able to figure out something to do. If you can't, it's probably on you.
Right. And that's right. In the first tournament that he won, he used those reversal DPs to blow up the Totsugeki because he knew they were coming, right? So there you go. That's that mentality, having a way to blow up someone for doing something right.
Yeah, their DP use is really crazy. The flash kicks were perfect.
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah,
gonna say something, Rock?
Leo's a bitch. I hate Leo. I've been holding this in the whole time. I just have to say it. I hate that character. I hate him so much. I would rather fight Soul than Leo, 100%.
That might be on you, but
I hate Leo.
no, he's very comfortable against Mei. He's very comfortable against Chip. You know, these characters that give a lot of people problems.
Right.
These high intensity, very dangerous characters. You put a flash kick in the mix, it's very stressful.
Yeah, it's not fun for me anymore. Especially when the flash kick, like you said, can lead to one touch and then I'm dead.
Yeah, the H flash
mix.
H flash kick leading to Brunhilder. That is a design choice. I was shocked. I was really shocked.
Now you've also been. Oh, go ahead, David. Did you want to?
No, you can go for it.
I was about to say I was about to move on a little bit to Goldlewis Dickinson here. I noticed that you've been testing him out a little bit and posting up a bunch of advice on him and trying things. Have you actually played any matches with him yet?
I did. I really have not figured it out yet. So what I'm going to say is I don't get it yet.
Okay.
But the potential is very much there.
Right.
I think if you get the offense, it's smooth sailing. If you get them cornered, it's smooth sailing. Mid screen, I do not get what I'm doing yet, but I have my eyes on a few things. So I've just noticed his ranges are a bit uncomfortable when the enemy can move a little bit away from me, and I'm spending too many frames to try to catch them. That's getting me into trouble with some of the faster things like Dolphin or just like chip / random things. And I have my eye on jump D and jump S as big things. They have 10 and 11 active frames respectively. I'm hoping they will help me control some space. His 5K has a disjoint hitbox and 9 active frames, which is kind of unbelievable for just this little stompy thing.
Right.
He's got some potential. 2S, 13 active frames, disjointed. These things all have so much potential. I'm just having trouble with people that have just snappy frame data. The chips, the Meis, like I'm a little worried about them.
Yeah. I mean,
that being said, I see the potential.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing, is like before you jumped on, I don't know if you heard, but I was talking about how I feel like he's actually seems to be pretty intelligently designed, because even with all the different behemoth typhoons, it's like you don't get to combo into all the big ones unless you get like a true clean hit or spend meter, right? So, and it feels like his footsies, his neutral buttons aren't great. At least that was my assessment. I mean, how do you feel about that? Like his normals, I should say.
There's this one range that's uncomfortable. When we're right at my far slash range, that's a 10 frame move with no disjoint. It's good. It's very good, but it has an uncomfortable thing where it doesn't convert on air hit. It kind of sends them down and away. So I end up wanting to do crouch slash, but that's 13 frames. That keeps getting me counter hit if I'm trying to do it in a space where I need the startup. So there's just this uncomfortable place where people like Soul, Mei, Chip, they're all having just a bit better of a time at far slash range, and I just need to patch it up. I don't know, I need to spend some more time with the character. If I can get back to coffin range, I'm feeling amazing, because that's a 12 frame startup disjoint. All of these in these typhoons, you will die. It is terrifying to be anywhere in the behemoth typhoon. They're all plus, they're all disjoint. But if you're just closer than that, I'm really worried so far.
Okay.
Dude, why are you playing this character? You were just talking about what characters that you play. Mobility, you want a DP, you want a top tier. Those are like the 3 that you just said. He has probably 0 of those, maybe 0 of those. 2, not for sure.
He has a
Tiers, I don't know.
reversal with meter.
With meter, it's true.
Does he have he's got a super. Okay, fine.
Right,
But he doesn't have a DP, he doesn't have a flash kick.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, the other thing about me is that I have become very comfortable with just losing. Like, I don't care at all when I lose. So I play like half the cast in Strive.
Okay.
Just to round out my perspective, just to feel, what is good about this character, that character, these characters. Try to, chart a better matchup list. And I don't really mind if I lose some games with Goldlewis. I'm going to figure it out. And he's so charming. I mean, he's so expressive. I think that's another thing I really admire about a character, is if they can make individualistic choices. And the Behemoth Typhoon system is like I mean, the expression that is bound to come from that is rather high. So I'm looking forward to what people do with them. I want to foster that discussion. I want to make sure that people understand what is possible with this character. And maybe I want to mess some people up with turning with him. We'll see. I don't know yet.
By the way, I do want to answer this question in chat because I'm sure people like on YouTube and on SoundCloud or whatever will probably be interested as well. But disjointed hitbox. I mean, I mean, you can describe it. I mean, how would you describe that term for people who are unfamiliar?
Yeah, so a disjointed hitbox is when I attack here, you can't hit me in this attack box. It's like a sword that you can't hit back unless you get to the hilt of it. You have to hit my hand, not the sword. That's a disjoint hitbox. So he has quite a few of those. They're just hidden behind some startup. A character like Ramlethal kind of has the best of both worlds, where it's really fast and it's really disjointed, but then she loses plus frames to make up for it. Unless you're in the corner. You're just dead in the corner. Don't worry about that.
I mean, the best way that I always make the comparison, Manat, disjointed hitbox. Dalsum, not disjointed jointed hitbox, I guess you could call it, because you can DP Dalsum's fist, but you cannot DP Manat's orb. So that's the best way, I think, kind of a easy way to describe it.
Yeah, and that's Axel in Guilty Gear, where a lot of his moves you can hit them. Not all of them this time, but a lot of them are hittable.
Right. So in this with this character, do you have intentions to use him seriously, or is this really just like, as you were saying, you have a bunch of characters that you like to play, you like to explore? That's maybe part of what you do in games, but is this more of like a serious project?
I'll say I'm taking him very seriously as far as developing him, and the jury's out on whether I'll really use him. Nagayuki ended up in sort of a similar area where it's like, I think against some people and some matchups, I am enjoying Nagayuki in tournament, but there are some matchups I really don't like to do it. If they're playing a fast character that also has a reversal like Chip, even though I could one-shot this, usually I'm not feeling good about the way that plays in tournament. I expect that will happen with Goldlewis too, where I'm kind of like, this would be a lot easier if I was just playing Leo, Right.
That makes sense.
It's hard to deny.
I'm gonna beat myself for asking this question on day 0.001 and stuff. But how do you feel about Goldlewis right now? Do you feel like he has the potential to be top tier, or do you think he's bad? Let's set up the event hubs.
Give us your knee
right
jerk
now.
so we can get a sound clip for event hubs. Let's go.
I have a knee jerk reaction already. So if I did not figure out that you could do a triple low sequence that's also plus on block, I'd probably be feeling pretty sketched out on him right now. But with 2K, 2D, and then the low Behemoth Typhoon that pulls up back, you get to meterless convert back to a good point blank knockdown. That basis, I posted that on my Twitter. It's in clips area. That basis has me very confident, where I can show all of these lows and then I can check you with the overhead.
Got it.
And then all of this is ending up plus. So this is just terrifying to me.
Right.
I think about blocking this and constantly blocking correctly and ending up negative again. It's just, that's miserable, right? So between that, losing health off of blocking correctly because of all the guard breaks, and then also all the risk that's building during all of this, it's terrifying. It's really scary. So the potential is all there on paper. We just have so many matchups to look at, and the ones that scare me right now are the fast characters, or just ones with really scary frame data. And that includes all the 10 frame far slashes, like Soul's 10 frame plus 2 far slash. Seems like a huge problem to me, as always.
Yeah, let's talk about the rest of the game a little bit. Do you were talking about the kind of games that you like, and before we kind of cut you off, you were briefly talking about what it is about Guilty Gear that makes it something that you're really attracted to. Can you describe more in detail, like what is it about this game that really has you loving it?
Yeah, it's the accent on counter hits and the accent on placing your meter in the right spot. Those are the things I love about Guilty Gear. Where, let's say I'm playing Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is a good competitive fighting game. But when I'm playing Dragon Ball, I don't care at all about a counter hit. It doesn't mean anything. You know, when I don't even get rewarded for counter hitting something, I'm immediately a little put off. You know, it doesn't even matter to get that crunchy, satisfying interruption. I really want that. So
Yeah.
when Strive shows up with what I saw called in Japan as the fucking big counter. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on this.
No,
show.
you
Yeah,
could,
it's fine.
You
yeah.
can swear all you want.
Don't
But
fucking
the
swear on our
huge
show,
text-
man. No, I was kidding.
You know, when the counter hit becomes the backdrop for the game, I'm leaning forward a little bit in my chair. You know, like they care about counter hits so much that you can't even ignore it if you tried. It's the premise of the game is getting the right counter hit at the right time.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that, and it is so aesthetically pleasing to me, and it's so charming to me.
Yep.
So that's number one, and then you add on to that risk. Risk is one of my favorite underlying mechanics. I heard it kind of got a bad rap recently. You know, there was a lot of conversation about you don't need to disincentivize blocking even more. I disagree with that. You know, I like the fact that good offense is rewarded if you block, you're not being hit. But if you're too complacent and someone confirms it right, you might just vanish from the face of the earth, right? Like if I'm touching you on block for a while and I open you up after that, you don't have your bursts, just say goodbye. You know, like you might actually lose 100% of your health, and that's exciting to me. It means that there's going to be a different outcome in this match than usual, and we all know why. It was because you stayed there for a while I was rotating my offense efficiently, and you didn't find a way out. So I love that little game. I love that cat and mouse. When should I get out? And the defender is never comfortable. I love that.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I guess as somebody who prefers to have a reversal in your gameplay, this may be related to your enjoying of maintaining your turn.
This game feels more comfortable with a reversal. I will not deny that.
Well,
I will not deny that.
I mean, let me ask you though. I mean, because obviously there's also been conversations, early on that this isn't actually a Guilty Gear game, or it's, you did play a lot of Exerd, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? So like, okay, I can see your visual reaction already here. So, I mean, what do you have to say to that opinion about it? Like, is this pretty Guilty Gear to you?
Do you know how many times we've had this conversation about every fighting game?
Yeah.
Every new version of every fighting game. This one's not the real one anymore, or the old one isn't the real one actually, and the new one is the only one. They're all just different games, or they have bits of the same DNA. This game has risk. This game has counter hits. In many ways, the DNA of this game is Guilty Gear, and then there's some obvious differences. You don't get to tech in the air. That pulls it away from all arts titles a bit and towards Street Fighter titles a little bit. And you just at some point it's like, why are we still talking about, like, is this the real Guilty Gear? It's like, shut up, it's Strive. This is just Strive. It's a game. It is another title in Guilty Gear made by the same people that made Guilty Gear. What else is more Guilty Gear that's on the market right now?
Right.
Maybe that's Plus R to you. Plus R has rollback. Go play it, right? Like, who cares? I don't know. It's tired to me.
Yeah.
This conversation is long tired.
For sure. You are not wrong.
Okay.
Talk to me about the characters in the game. Who needs buffs and who needs nerfs?
In Strive,
Yeah.
it's harder to talk about who needs buffs. I think Anji is a popular topic when we're talking about buffs. I think Fujin not interacting well with any reversal is a bit weird to me. I think that is I think that's just kind of sad for the character mood. Obviously, people like Lost Soul are still doing really well with them, but maybe that's just because Lost Soul's ridiculous.
Right.
So I don't know, right? I don't see many other Anjis doing much. Maybe GC Oshi, but not much in the way of Anji players.
Yeah.
I think Faust is being downplayed pretty badly.
Okay, let's go.
So when I hear Faust needs buffs, he desperately needs buffs, I'm kind of rolling my eyes. He has actually a pretty good matchup spread compared to a lot of other games that I've played. When I think about a character that's struggling, I've played some games where characters are not playing.
Right.
Faust he's very clearly fighting people, and he's just having trouble with some of the crazy top tiers, like Soul. You know,
Right.
he has a miserable time with Ram. Like, yeah, there's tuning that could happen, but I mean,
when
Is this-
Nage is saying he's better than people think he is, and this is a guy who's played Faust at his top level, you know, he would be the first person disappointed, you know, but he's actually saying that he feels like Faust is actually not bad.
yeah, and I think Faust is often very good. In most Guilty Gear titles, I've seen Faust as a very high tier character. I don't know if he's high tier in this version. Maybe that's a bit of a shock. So there's that, right? I've heard people downplaying Zato. That is insane to me.
Yeah.
People saying Zato needs buffs. That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I am offended by the people that say Zato is like
Yeah,
can't participate.
that's an eye roller.
Come on, Zato. Like, have you watched Scobo play? And
Yeah, that character is ridiculously good.
For sure.
Yeah, and then obviously the whole meta conversation is skewed by the fact that Soul's too much. He's too much for too cheap. You don't have to do anything fancy. You get so much with Soul. So it needs some work, but this is a damn good first version. This is one of the best first versions I've ever seen Arxis launch, and I have to applaud them for that.
Yeah, I think that sounds right to me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, thanks a lot for coming on and chatting with us for a while.
Yeah,
It's been fun to catch up with you a little bit. I hope things are going well outside of games too.
You know, they really have been. It's
Nice.
been a good couple of years of my life. I've kind of,
cool.
pulled back. Publicly, I haven't really been out there that much, but it's been good indoors. You know, family life is good.
Good.
Work life is good, and
nice.
on the low, I'm still playing a bunch of games, and Strive has been amazing. So I feel like this has been a nice opportunity to reconnect with a lot of people I
All
haven't
right,
seen in a long
real
time.
quick to make Ultra David mad. What is better, Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue?
Goodness. I mean, I got into that a bit earlier. They're just very different games. I will not.
Which one is better, Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue?
There
The
are
whole
people that
series, the whole thing.
There are
The whole
people that would
shebang.
crucify me for answering it, and I will not do this.
Oh, he's not gonna kill himself for you.
Nice. Now,
Nice work.
I hinted at this a little bit earlier. Obviously, it was a typo from somebody that created the Dacid part, but I always like to ask people where they got their handle from, like where'd the bro part come from and such.
Yeah, it's funny. So I was on a music set. I was like a vocalist in a small band, and they typed up name tags for us, and it came back. I looked at my name, and it was Dacid, and then Brolite, right? So my last name is just Brolite, and the guitarist, without missing a beat, was like, "That's a sick rocker name. We're going with that for now on." And that just became my name in that band immediately. And then I wasn't feeling very creative when I was getting back into gaming, and I just put it right in. Dacidbro. Done.
I like it.
Easy.
It's actually
Sometimes
really
people
cool.
accidentally land on terrible names that they don't get to pick, and that's not a terrible one. It's cool.
It wasn't that bad for having no input on it. Yeah, it wasn't that
Yep.
bad.
Agreed.
And also, just as a little completely random side thing, I always think it's really interesting when I found out that you are the son of one of the guys who was at Tengen and was
Co-founded.
co-founded Tengen and was part of the whole like Tetris kind of
That's
thing
right.
that happened on the NES, and like I was
wow.
like. I was like, what? And I looked it up, and I looked up Tengen, and it was like, yeah, Mr. Brolite was like, I was like, whoa, that's actually really fascinating. So I don't know if that's
right.
something you
Yeah.
talk about publicly a lot, but I think that's really kind of a neat.
What James is saying is he wants to meet your dad.
Yeah, definitely.
It's an
I've heard
interesting.
that before. No, it's come up in conversation before. I mean, it's long water under the bridge over
Right,
here, and
obviously.
it's fascinating that the documentary I think that was on the time was From Russia with Love, something about Tetris. So if
Yes.
anyone's curious about what the hell we're talking about,
Yeah,
that's going to do much better than I can explain because it's genuinely before my time.
right. But
All right, man. Plug yourself a little bit, and then we got to move on.
Sure. So my most active social is Twitter at Dacidbro. Got the little blue check marks, so you know that it's me.
Ooh.
I have a partner Twitch over at Dacidbro. I honestly haven't streamed enough lately. Maybe I'll stream some Goldlewis stuff soon, but I never want to turn the stream on. You know, I appreciate you guys that actually do this all the time because
it's
being
so
in public
hard.
is
It's
a lot
hard.
of work. Yeah. And I don't know. That's good enough. If anyone has any questions, I often go on Twitter and just posts, answer a bunch of questions. I did some huge threads that are just like, what's fucking you up in Strive? And those I think have always been really helpful for people that are trying to play this game. And there are all these obstacles in your way when you're learning fighting games, and you'll notice what they are maybe 6 or 7 years after they were causing you problems, and you just get hit with this exhausting feeling looking back. Like, how long was this a problem for me and I didn't even know it? So if you have a hunch that anything is getting in your way, you're just like, I don't know why I can't break through this, hit me up on Twitter. We can talk about it. I swear I answer every single question of those, because I think it's very important to figure out how to improve both at games and life in general.
Yeah, and I will add to that plug. I've seen your threads. I've retweeted them. I've seen your answers to people. You're very good at, discussing it. You're very good at, expressing the kind of things that help people. So I definitely recommend people checking out your Twitter. So there you go.
Comes with 100,000
the boy.
All right, bud. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah,
have a
thanks for
good
coming
rest
on,
of your
man.
night.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Peace.
Later, homie.
All right, see ya.
All right, there we go.
All right. We'll
Shut
catch
us.
up with him a little bit.
Yeah, it's good. I haven't heard from Dacid in a long time. Like you said, he's been kind of out of the scene for a little bit. So good to catch up with him, and good to see him getting back into the swing of things with Strive. So here we go.
For sure. All right, let's move on to 5-5 matchup. Do you have the list? So that, again,
Bring out the list.
people can vote live. Can you make that happen?
Yep.
Again, we used to have it be that people would vote in advance before the stream went live, but that can't happen anymore because Twitch made it so that we no longer have access to emails of subscribers, yada, yada. It just is, we had to change it up. So instead, we're just doing the votes live. That's cool, though. Let's start with number 1. How much is luck a factor in fighting games? Number 2, how would you feel about a game with a, quote, living roster, meaning that as real months pass, characters learn and unlearn moves and their fighting style changes permanently? For example, Soul in Season 2 being Soul after the events of the story, while his Season 1 style is lost forever. Are you ready for them to type in?
I just started the poll now, so you can vote. If you are a subscriber, you can vote twice. And so,
guys.
Tiny Text, go ahead and try putting your vote in again, because I literally just started the poll right now. So
Exclamation point, then a number that
a number,
you want.
yes.
And like
exactly.
James said, guys, if you are a sub, you can vote twice. So
Put 'em in there.
Smash the sub button, you nerds.
Yeah, there you go. 3, is it ever fair to be able to cancel into a command throw? Number 4, can character aesthetics stop players from getting into a game? 5, what are some matchups between players you would love to see and why? Assume that the player chosen will be in their prime form and that they'll both be proficient at whatever game they go head to head on. 6, in light of Goldlewis, are there any other body types you would like to see more in fighting games? And then lastly, overrated, underrated, or appropriately rated, and why? Super Turbo, Marvel 2, Third Strike, and CVS 2.
All right, just as a quick glance here for everybody, this is the current state of the voting, and it's actually shifting here. Okay, this is look at this. 3 is making a run for this. So I'll put the questions back up for people so that they can see and know what they're voting for.
Well.
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 All right.
Let's call it.
All right. Give me a countdown.
Call it already?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. It looks like
That's
it's
the
actually
sound of the goal horn.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
I was about to say that's definitely a hockey sound right there. We have number 1 and number 5. It looks like that are going to be the winners here. So, how much is luck a factor in fighting games?
Okay.
Let me get that in here. How much?
You got it. So that'll be number 1. How much is luck a factor in fighting games?
All right.
All right. Well, I mean, I think it really just depends on the game. I guess as a blanket statement, it's a factor. It's a factor in everything that we do. I think it does depend on the game, though, because some games and some characters especially, luck is a bigger deal. There are characters who are, designed for random chance to be part of it. Like Dacid was just talking about Faust. Like, Faust is an example where throwing an item just
Right.
has some element of actual luck and randomness in it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, other games don't have that. But as a blanket statement, which I think is probably what this is getting at more of, I think that it's a really big factor. Luck is a big factor. You can't control.
Big factor?
Big factor. You can't control what the opponent does. And that inherently means that you're relying on things outside of your control. And I think a great way to phrase that is that you're relying on the luck of being right. You're making educated guesses about what should be going on. There's a lot of stuff that you can have an influence in, but ultimately you can't control this very, very significant part of the game, which is what does the opponent do? And I think that's well described as essentially being luck. So for me, it is a really big factor.
I would like to point out that the Ultra David has said such things as everything is luck.
Not everything.
Everything is luck. It's all luck. Lucky
It's not all luck. Not all luck.
You oh my, I can't even, what did we argue about the other day while you were streaming?
You
What
think
was the word
that
you chose to use?
we were making a distinction between, I was making a distinction between guessing and predicting.
Yes.
Which is,
Completely different things.
predicting is a
Completely
type of
different
guess.
things. Completely different things.
Because again, like what you're guessing at is an outcome that you can't know, and predicting is hoping that it is something that you don't know, but you can make an educated guess, but it's like under category guess. And when you're guessing at something, I think a good way to describe that is that it's luck. Yeah.
Yes, everything is luck. If I could create a web of things on Earth that happen and put luck in the center, everything in your life you could connect to luck.
I think luck is extremely important. That's true. I wouldn't describe it as being everything.
I know I'm giving you a hard time about it, but I don't disagree with you that luck is a factor in certain things. I don't disagree with you that luck is a factor in fighting games. I don't think it's a big factor, not at the highest level.
Okay.
At the highest level, you're doing things to make sure that luck isn't part of what makes you win. You want to minimize things that are out of your control.
For sure.
And that's where predictability comes in, and preparedness and all that stuff that I think makes it not necessarily luck that, Kazunoko always hits his wake-up DPs. That's not luck. He knows for a fact what's going to happen and all the different possibilities of why he would want a DP there, and then he executes it properly. I don't think it's necessarily luck. I think it's more of prediction. But you think a prediction is a guess, and a guess is luck. So again, it's all going back to luck for David.
You don't need to describe it as being like a fact that he knows. He doesn't know for a fact that the opponent's going to get hit by this DP.
Oh,
he doesn't
does.
know. He doesn't know. I mean, actual fact. He hasn't seen the future and can't know. But there's a big gulf between that and then saying that it's random. So in saying that it's just luck, I don't mean to imply that like the players don't have a tremendous amount of input into what happens. Of course they do. And he's a really, really smart player who makes awesome predictions all the time. That he can't know the outcomes of, but like he's really good at making these really, really strong, educated guesses and predictions. And so even in a world where it's like luck is a big factor, as the person playing, you still have a really outsized role, obviously, as to what happens. It's not downplaying the player to say that luck is a factor.
Right.
Yeah, we never started that timer, by the way.
Oh
Okay.
dang! I didn't change the thing to update timer. That's why, because I had to fix something a while ago. My standpoint is that I wouldn't be playing fighting games if there was that much luck involved in fighting games. I've often stated long time ago. I don't feel this way exactly right now, but I don't feel like there's barely any luck in fighting games outside of the programmed luck in Faust and Dan Red Fireballs and kind of things like that. But outside of that, I don't think there is much luck in fighting games. I don't consider the concept of trying to guess what the opponent is going to do and whether you're right or wrong has anything to do with luck. I don't think that is. I think that's a separate thing. I understand where David's coming from on that, but I don't put that in the same category as luck, because that's still a decision being made based off of two human beings. Luck to me is something that you simply have no ability to make any sort of educated guess or control over kind of thing, right? Like, I've been playing a lot of Tekken. I get really terrible opening hands on some of my decks. Like, I have a 50-50 chance of winning when I play this card that says destroy one random opponent unit on the board, and it destroys the wrong one and I lose, or if it destroys the right one and I win. That's luck. Playing Catan 3 games in a row and putting a house next to the 8, and then the entire game rolls nothing but 6s, and then getting a house next to 6 and the entire game rolls nothing but 8s, and then in the third game somehow miraculously getting a house next to a 6 and an 8 and the entire game rolls nothing but 5s and 9s. That's luck. Fighting games do not have luck, in my opinion.
Well, then how do you feel, James, when a player who normally doesn't drop a game-winning combo drops a game-winning combo and then the other player wins? Is that not luck? I do think that that's luck, indeed.
No, I don't think that's luck at all. I think that's...
Well, then what happened? How would you describe that situation?
The guy failed
And Tubbo is talking about from the perspective of the player who did not drop the combo, I think, right?
Yeah. So I'm playing David. David's hitting me. He drops a combo. He drops a super. I wake up and I punish him and I win. I got lucky. I should not have won that. I think the person that's hitting me should have won if they executed properly. So I got lucky that they dropped that.
No,
I don't know like another word to describe that situation.
I agree. Sounds right to me.
I don't agree with that. Mostly because you've also dropped enough combos on other people to let them win. I think that all just kind of circles around and balances itself out. And the reason why I don't consider that luck is because, again, one of my favorite factors of fighting game is human error. And I will always believe that human error is a natural part of fighting games. And the percentage of time that you can keep yourself from having that human error is a skill. That is a talent. If David is going to drop the combo when he should have killed you, that means he should practice the combo more. That's not luck. That just means he messed up. And human...
It's not, I'm not having bad luck. I screwed up. But Tubbo has positive luck.
Yeah, that was fantastic luck for me.
Right, but see, I don't see it that way because, like I said, that to me is a foregone conclusion that is going to happen in...
But not there. Not there. I mean, at some point, like, maybe I'll miss... It's me, so maybe I'll miss 30% of all combos I try. And that's not evenly distributed either. Like, it may happen, maybe it happens more in some situations than in others. But in any case, like, I kind of can't control it either, I guess, to be honest. But definitely the opponent can't control when that happens.
Right,
like, that's
exactly.
It's not within your control.
Like part of the reason I stopped playing sports games competitively is because of random penalties that the computer players would commit. I can't control that. That's why I started playing fighting games.
Right. Exactly.
So I can control everything I do. However, everything I do isn't perfect, and I'm gonna drop stuff, or vice versa. It's like, so in my eyes, there is still luck involved there. Yeah, but it's not like it's a more controlled form of luck rather than a non-playable character fucking up your day because they had a 15-yard holding penalty.
See, to me, I just don't describe that as luck. I just feel like that's a different character. Category. Now, do I believe that fighting games have zero luck? Like I said, if you talked to me 10 years ago, I would have said yes. I don't believe that anymore. There's definitely luck factoring in there. And I'm loving that people are pointing out that I play Super Turbo, the game of actual random damage and stuff like that. Right. And yet, the same people win Super Turbo all the damn time, right? I mean, that's
luck. Saying that something has luck does not mean that the people in it are like without options. Like of course.
Yeah, luck doesn't mean random necessarily either.
Yeah, right. I mean, being random is like they're connected, of course, but luck is really just in my mind things that you can't control, and among those is randomness. I can't control randomness, but I also can't control like what you do. You're not a random thing. You're a person who has your own like things that you're thinking, but I can't make those choices for you. So the way that they come out, I can guess what they're going to be, but I can't know. And so when it comes to my prediction versus your actual action, whether my prediction works out has an element of luck in it.
I mean, I think
but again, that's not to devalue the strategy in it. Obviously, I love the strategy. Here I am, having played for 20 years. Like that matters to me. But I also don't want to say that there's no luck.
Right. What's interesting, so Investigation Code says a basketball player hits 95% of their free throws. They will miss several in a row at some point. It's a statistical certainty. If they miss them in the championship game at the end to lose instead of a game that they're up by 30, that's luck. I don't necessarily agree with that because, again, my feeling on human error and pressure situations, like the fact that they missed it in a championship game versus when they're down by 30, your brain is in two very different places when those two things happen.
Yeah, I think that's true.
You know, Nick Anderson, Tiny Text hit the nail on the head right there. Right? You miss 4 free throws in a row, and all of a sudden your free throw percentage drops to 60% for the rest of your life. Right? I mean, he just never could shake that off.
Wow,
that to me isn't luck.
But for the opposing team, that's luck. Right? For the player who screwed up the free throws, for sure, like he's making decisions are poor, whatever it is in that hype moment.
Right.
But for the opposing team who didn't have any control over whether the opponent misses or not, that's good luck. It worked out.
Yeah, right? I don't see it that way. And I think this is really like Mike Lee is saying in the chat that this might just be coming down to semantics at this point because I just don't see that as a luck thing. I think because the team doesn't have a control of whether or not the other person makes the free throw, the person still has control over whether they make the free throw. That means it's not luck, right? It's only luck to me if nobody has control of anything. That's how I see it. One person still has to make it in a pressure situation. If you miss it and the team benefits from that, they didn't get lucky. The other person choked. That's not luck to me. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. As long as somebody has a controlling factor of whether something can happen, that's not luck. Luck to me is literally RNG. That's how I view it. And I don't think that's the definition that other people are going with, but that's how I see it. So just because someone missed a free throw, the benefiting team isn't the lucky person. If you drop the combo against Tubo, that doesn't necessarily mean that Tubo got lucky. You know, to me, luck is more, I accidentally did down 2 and I didn't mean to because I was trying to do something else, but my prediction was wrong and the opponent jumped and I anti-aired him. You know, that's like kind of a luck kind of situation that happens in fighting games, that your misinput actually benefits you. But like, I don't know. I don't feel like luck plays a role in fighting games. Like maybe 5%, 10%. in fighting games, but outside of that, I just don't think it's a factor at all.
I think it's more than merely semantic, because I think what's ultimately going on is how much you're willing to admit that you don't have control in life. And like I can admit that I think I have some control, certainly, but also like not very much. And it's somewhere where I'm okay with that. But I think even further than that, I think I view things as being relational in almost all contexts, rather than like there being some true world in which there's no that is to say a truth exists without being related in any way to anything else. I don't really think that that's right. I think in every case there's a relational aspect that you can talk about instead that's probably more accurate. And so when you're talking about like somebody missing the free throw, for example, as not being luck, in a worldview where we're not having a relational discussion at all, I guess maybe that makes sense. But I think that that's less accurate than the worldview where things are always relational and you kind of define them with respect to something else. So for me, in that context, as the person who didn't make the screwed up free throw, my way to like relate to that is that it was luck for me, that it just happened to work out. And I didn't have any control over that. the other person maybe had control, but also like not all the control in the world. And
speaking of control, we're way past time on this topic. We're going in circles. I'm taking control. We're moving on.
Getting into the philosophy of it. All right, let's go.
We're going way too deep on this.
Yeah. No, like I said, I mean, I just don't see it as luck. I don't think that's
point made, and we can move on.
Right.
Yeah, we gotta go.
All right.
Okay.
What was number 5? Which was the other one?
Number 5. Well, that was an actual 5-5 matchup. That was actually kind of neat.
Yeah.
What are some matchups between players you would love to see and why? Assume that the players will be chosen in their prime. Wow, that is too much, and I still can't even fix this. Okay, so the full question is, what are some matchups between players you would love to see and why? Assume that the players chosen will be in their prime form and that they'll both be proficient at whatever game they go head-to-head on.
I like this question because I think there's a lot of players throughout my life of paying attention to fighting games where I think, like, man, if this player was playing up to their, quote, prime form, they would be, like, an all-time genius. But then they just don't do it for whatever reason because they decide, like, I'd rather not spend my time playing fighting games. I'd rather play garbage characters, like, whatever is the reason, right? Like, we've all known people like that. So I think that's cool. But I think what initially springs to my mind is to match up players from, like, very olden times to players from modern times and be like, all right, like, who wins? You know, players from 1992 or players from 2021.
Right.
Like, I think that would be really fun.
We already know the answer to that. That's not even.
I agree with you because you're definitely saying 2021.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But I'm very curious, nevertheless. I think that would be interesting to see. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Tomo versus
I would love to see
whoever.
peak Tomo play because there's like no video footage. It's all legend.
Right.
I would love to see peak Tomo play literally anyone in Super Turbo because I just want to see how good he actually was. I want to know how much of it was bullshit because there's got to be a high percentage of just, you know, nostalgia there. If he was the best and he could beat anyone.
Again,
I can't see him beating like.
I really don't know.
Again, I've seen
best
it.
of the best now.
I've seen it, and the thing about it is, I know what he did. It's not an exaggeration.
But it was 30 years ago. There's no way it's in your memory fresh. There's no way.
It was probably one of the most significant things that ever occurred to me in my life. It was like a life-defining moment for me playing against him. The thing about it is, would he be the best right now? He wouldn't be the best. Would he be competitive with everybody? Absolutely. He would be competitive with everybody. It's just his propensity to learn and his propensity to understand all the things. He was doing everything that we didn't have name for is that we call now, you know, option selects and, you know, all these things like that. He was doing all that stuff and we didn't have names for it. I didn't realize what they were. I didn't realize they were even tactics until now because we have descriptions for it. And with how good everybody is now and with the belief that you could actually make money off of it, I mean, like I said, back in the day, you literally said you had to either play Street Fighter or get a girlfriend. And he chose to get a girlfriend, and that was the end of his Street Fighter career, right? Like, at this point in time, that's just not the case right now. Literally, Tomo was exceptional. Like, you talk to anybody who has played him, you talk to Watson, you talk to, you know, Gerald, who literally played this guy for hours and hours and hours. I mean, Gerald played against Tomo and then went to Japan and played in the Champion Edition tournaments over there, watched them all play, and he felt like none of them were as good as Tomo was. Right? I mean, literally, these are people who have, like, they're still around. It's not like we're sitting here talking about people from 60 years ago, right? These are people that are actually here. Again, I make no qualms about, like, oh, is Tomo better than Sonic Fox or Punk? Like, probably not. You know, Punk is probably a better player than Tomo is overall. But Would Tomo be one of the best players right now? Absolutely he would be, because he had that ability to learn. And what a lot of people also fail to always remember is just how many damn people were playing Street Fighter 2 at that time. It wasn't like we weren't getting the volume of really high skill back then. Of course, this is a question that can never be answered and we'll never, ever, ever know. But, you know, it's just like, I mean, the best way just to kind of put it is like Street Fighter 4 came out. Everybody started playing Street Fighter 4. All these people playing Street Fighter 4. Who was one of the best people in SoCal when that game first came out? It was Gutex. Gutex was like, hey, I'm super good at this game. He travels to a house and then he beats Mike Watson. He's like, you just don't know, right? And then Mike Watson was like, you know what? I didn't care about this game. You made me care. And then Mike Watson trained and then he destroyed Gutex. And that's just the thing, right? The reason why it feels like the old school players have just never had that opportunity to care enough, because they just didn't have the belief that they could win $250,000 if you won the right tournament.
I'm not accepting that, James, because like, what was it, 2 weeks ago? You were telling us about the old school mentality and how much everybody cared because of rivalries. And I can't accept that they didn't care enough, but they also cared too much. What are you talking about?
Wait. What? That doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about?
When you were talking about Guilty Gear and team tournaments, you talked about how what you were tweeting was trying to say is we cared so much about these team tournaments back in the day because of the rivalry. But now you just told us that nobody really cared that much because there wasn't that much on the line.
Wait, who said nobody
this
cared
is what
that?
I mean.
Wait, no.
It just came out of your mouth.
No, not in that
Am I crazy?
context.
Did you not just say that?
I don't remember saying anything like that.
You just said people didn't care as much because there wasn't money on the line. Maybe if there was money on the line, they would care more.
No, I'm talking about understanding that you could keep doing this as a career, right? Obviously, when people were playing back then, the rivalries and stuff like that. What's that?
I don't see how that would affect the mantra of the players.
Dude,
I've seen Bang the Machine. I saw how mad Watson
got.
No, everybody got dunked on.
No. You have to understand the mentality that was back then. When you were in it, but you knew that wasn't going to last. You knew that at some point in time, it had to end. That's a very different. That's what I mean by you not caring, because you knew at some point it had to end. That's what I mean by that.
Athletes.
No,
and not even necessarily like athletes that make millions of dollars. Even like Olympic ski shooters who make shit for money. They know they can't do it forever. That doesn't make them less passionate. I can't buy this argument,
dude.
Man. I can't.
Getting a gold medal. Beating
Japan from America in 1993? How is that different? That's a gold medal for you.
Because nobody cared. Nobody, the world,
right, I give up.
The world didn't care. Nobody talks about that. The Olympics literally have a century history that's on TV. People are analyzing it and talk about it all the time. There is literally maybe a percentile of 1% of the people on the planet at that time that played fighting games. You can't compare it to the Olympics. You cannot compare it to the Olympics at all.
I'm not comparing to the Olympics.
You just compared it to the Olympics.
No,
did that not just come out of your mouth? That just came out of your mouth. You just talked about the Olympic skeet shooter. That just came out of your mouth.
Yes, they can't do it forever and they make shit money. So how is that different from playing Street Fighter professionally? You can't do it forever and you make shit money.
Like somebody said in the chat, there's no external validation.
Who cares? Man, that's whack to me. That's so soft. Back in the day, we were so tough. That's the softest shit. You need external validation. I need someone to tell me I'm good at Street Fighter. No, come on.
Dude,
We're way off subject.
All I
know- all I know
I don't.
that
The
I-
logic doesn't make sense to me.
I used to beat Gutex, so I just want to point out that when it comes to who was good in early Street Fighter 4 in SoCal, it was me and a few other people, and only later was it Gutex. All right, I just want to point this out. All right.
To answer the question,
You can go back to the old podcast that Gutex did, and he's like, I'm just trying to figure out how to beat Zangief. I just can't figure out how to beat that character. You know what he was talking about? He wasn't talking about any character, all right? He was talking about a player, buddy.
Ultra David.
Okay,
Young David.
Come on. All right, let's move on.
Anyways, I to answer the question, I would really like to see F Champ play Ryan LV, both at their peak.
That would
Because
be
I don't know who would win. That would be a really amazing match to see. In Marvel 3, obviously. I didn't if that has to even be said.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think in some cases it'd be really interesting to see players from different scenes. Like, I would love to see, player from, like, top-level Tekken player versus top-level Street Fighter player or whatever. Play in some neutral game where, according to this question, they're both be magically proficient at whatever. I think that would be cool, too. I don't know that I have players in mind necessarily. I think for that, it's more like, I've just always been curious, like, which game is which scene is hardest to win in, and there's no way to answer that. And this is obviously just a magic question, and we can't answer it still. But I think that would be really interesting to find out, like, if we could do so. Yeah, What if Ninja Killer liked Street Fighter? That would actually be super cool. What if Ninja Killer was a Street Fighter 5 player?
Man, I've always had those type of thoughts and questions too. Like, what if Nikki didn't play KI? What if Nikki played Marvel or something? Like, how does that turn out?
Actually,
Right.
now that you mentioned that, I just want to see Sonic Fox versus Punk, or Sonic Fox versus Idom in Street Fighter. Just so people can shut up about, Sonic Fox doesn't actually play Street Fighter, so they aren't the greatest player of all time because they don't play the big game. Whatever, Sonic Fox would definitely be beating a lot of people and be winning.
If
a lot
Sonic
of Street
Fox
Fighter
wanted to be
tournaments.
one of the best Street Fighter players in the world, they would absolutely be one of the best
Exactly,
Street Fighter
so.
players in the world.
Like in Gear right now, Gear is a good meetup game right now, and we are getting some of these discussions. We are getting some. Like K7 Showoff's a really strong Mortal Kombat player who's been winning and getting in top 8 of Gear events. It's really cool. Sonic Fox obviously is making that happen. Like that's possible. I don't see a lot of the players from the NRS scene. I don't expect them to do that, but just because they're people who really like Mortal Kombat for the most part. They're just really big MK heads. But I think my personal take on it is that if Ninja Killer played like any game, he would be one of the best players in the world at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, we'll never know, probably.
Not enough time.
All right. Good on this.
All right. One of the games that we haven't been able to talk about as much recently, Melty Blood. Obviously, all three of us don't really have any Melty Blood background, unfortunately, so we can't get into too much details. But 2 character trailers were revealed in the last week, and that was Ciel and Arcueid.
Nailed it. I don't know how to pronounce it either. I read that word and I was just like, nope, not saying it.
I have no idea how to pronounce that, but
I think people just call them Arc. If I'm
Yeah,
not
I mean, when I don't have an experience with the game personally, but when I've heard my friends talk about the character, it's either Arc or Arcueid, but I don't even know if they're right. Maybe they're not right. Like, I have no idea.
right.
But anyway, they both look cool. I'm not that into the graphics of it, but as far as the animations go and their options go, they look cool. They look cool to me. It's the same kind of thing as when we were talking about it last week, and how I said before Under Night came out in a way that was accessible to us here, I thought the graphics looked boring. I thought it looked washed out, and the UI is like really just uninteresting. I just didn't think it looked good. And then I played it, and I was like, this game is so cool. It's like really fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm absolutely leaving that chance open for this. So I'm not interested in it like audio visually, but as far as the characters, I'll try it out regardless, and they look like they have fun options.
I mean, I know some people who are trying to get into Melty Blood. There was the fan version of Actress Current Code, Actress Again Current Code, I think it is. And there's a fan version out there that they did put the rollback into it, and I know people who have been playing it and really having a good time with it and finding a lot of good things about it. Again, a lot of similar systems to Under Night In-Birth, such as the chain combo system where you can chain all 6 of your normals together, and if you have command normals you can even add those, so you can reverse beat to make things that are negative, less negative, or even plus, etc., etc. Under Night is an amazing game. I mean, if you think about it, Under Night is kind of like the Soul Calibur to Tekken, right? You go from fisticuffs to now it's a weapon-based fighter, right? Under Night is kind of that again. There's always the weapon-based and the martial arts one, and Melty Blood is more of it seems like to be more of the brawler version of it. But again, it looks beautiful. Like the graphics are so much crisper than the older Melty Bloods. The game looks fast-paced and such, and yeah, it definitely looks interesting.
Great.
What's that?
So the animations are great.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's something that I would love to try out. It would be something that I would like to see. Will I play it fully? I don't know. There's too many fighting games that I'm playing already right now, as we were mentioning earlier. But and that's another thing too that I think is that it's important, is I would love to have this Melty Blood game grow big, get a lot of play, and gain a lot of popularity, just so we can kill the stupid Melty Blood in the bathroom jokes. I mean, it's just not even necessary anymore. I mean, Mortal Kombat was played in the bathroom at a tournament that I was in, and nobody really talks about that, right? Like, it's done. We need to get rid of that, dude. Like, we just don't need to make that joke anymore, I don't think. Interested to see where Melty Blood is gonna go.
All right, let's get to the next one. There was another extremely large tournament, the Big Levo #2, which had a significant prize pool. I don't know what it ended up being, but it started out at about 1,000, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And it had, what was it, about 1,400 players, again, across Europe and also North America. So huge. Each of those regions happened. Hotashi won it in North America with Nago. Second place was Marn with Giovanna. And third place was King John with Soul. And then in Europe, it was actually Leffen who took his own turn with Chip.
If I'm not mistaken, this was the first time he entered, right? I don't think
he entered the previous one. Yeah, that's what I understood as well. Second place was GF Anbi with Soul, and then Zeno with Ram was third. Did you guys check him out?
Who was fourth, David? Who was fourth, David?
Okay, it's TLR Mystic with Axel.
Yeah, Axel.
I know. What do you think? I don't think that Axel's good.
No, I just want to point out that
top 8 with Axel as well in North America. Yeah. By the way, you know who got 5th in North America? Huh? So sick, Nash fan.
It says Saul.
Yeah, who is a Soul player?
I saw that. Yeah. But also Furno, who I don't know, but says that they played May as well.
May. Yes.
Both 5th places were May.
Yeah.
May is good. I'll never deny it.
Did you guys watch these?
I watched a lot of America Big Levo.
Yeah.
But they went on so late that I fell asleep watching it. The smooth, silky voices of Steve and Steven just put me right out. But I thought it was super interesting that
Steve and Steve are boring.
No, I said they're smooth and silky, not boring. But also,
you should have watched the Top 64. Top 64 had the dulcet.
I did actually watch you, James, and I commented it in my other group chat. Yeah. It was great to see James and David commentating on the same day.
Yeah, it was the dulcet tones of myself and Ringe at Levo.
Yeah.
So that was actually
I actually did watch that. That's how I started watching. I think it was like top 32-ish I tuned in.
Yeah.
And then I went to my bed and turned on the TV, and like 3 matches in, I was dead in top 8. But Hotashi and Marn also took top 1 and 2 at NLBC in the same day. So Hotashi had to beat Marn in grand finals twice in one day in 2 different tournaments.
Yeah, wow. The first time,
extremely impressive.
I think the first time he got knocked into losers by Marn. and then
Yes.
actually won in grand finals through the reset, and then at
I believe that
Levo
is
he
accurate.
won by just staying in the winner's side the entire time. I mean, it's
And that's
interesting.
a Yuki player.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of Marn's history with Guilty Gear. I mean, I know there's the meme that Marn killed Guilty Gear, but you know, he again, one of those memes that we just need to abandon at this point in time.
Funny enough, it's meme that Otachi also killed Guilty Gear.
Is
So
it?
the two yeah, it's in his, or it was in his Twitter profile for a bit. Yes, I killed Guilty Gear.
Oh my god.
So the
Okay.
two killers of different generations of Guilty Gear
Oh,
taking each
man.
other on in Strive. We are truly seeing the communities coming together.
There you go.
to
There's
play
our
Guilty Gear Strive.
there's our dream match of a classic player versus
Right,
a new player. There you go, right?
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so there you have it right there. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but Barn has a long history with Guilty Gear. He's made top 8 at Evos before. I remember this because I put him in my Evo DVD trailers and stuff. He was a very strong Zato player a long time ago. Now using Giovanna here, obviously, because Giovanna is super good. And, you know, obviously, you know, as we were discussing with Dacidbro, that Zato is such a terrible character in this game, right?
Yeah.
So, but but the whole thing about it is I mean it was just cool to see, and it's fun to watch, and again, just kind of, not only is Guilty Gear bringing people from all the different scenes, but it's also kind of bringing back a lot of the old school players as well, and I think that's kind of neat, and we're getting that kind of a little matchup conflict kind of thing, so.
Sounds good. Well, let's move on then.
Okay.
So
Right.
I didn't watch any of the big Levo, in part because I was actually doing Street Fighter commentary both of those days, Saturday and Sunday, but also in part because I was catching up on the archives for Cooperation Cup Special First to 10, round number 2 in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which was, again, super cool. Man, it's fun. I didn't watch all of it Friday night because I just fell asleep. I couldn't hack it. It was really late for me. So then on Saturday and Sunday, I kind of like spread out watching the remainders of them. And yeah, I loved it. Did you guys check it out at all?
I saw 0 of it, which is actually rare for me. I don't love Third Strike, but I do love those exhibitions. Well, the tournament normally, right? But
Yeah.
the exhibitions the last 2 years. The highest level of Third Strike is amazing to watch. So I'll watch it eventually, but I haven't caught it yet.
Okay.
I did watch most of it actually because it was during a time that I'm normally awake. So I actually did end up watching most of it. So it was good stuff. I think I had it on the background while I was working on some other stuff. But as usual, I mean, good matches, and I mean, it's just it's crazy when you watch those character specialists like Perot like do his thing with Remy, and it's just it's like
Remy is like Pierrot is one of those players actually who I'm curious like how things would go if he was just like, you know what, now I'm a top level Guilty Gear Strive.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
okay,
whatever.
Guilty Gear, right?
No,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Would just switch because he's such a genius. It was on
Right.
Game Newton.
Mhm.
Game Newton. Yeah, he's just one of those genius players. Like these games, Third Strike, ST, VSAV, like those games all have their like longtime geniuses who just like managed to make terrible characters work. And it would be cool to see them in a game where there weren't terrible characters, you know, or where they could play and play against bigger pools of competition, see how that would go. Anyway, we'll never know. But shout outs to TMQ who beat Furo Yang 10-8 in their set. That obviously to me was the highlight, but I thought it was really cool watching Shirokuro, who was a really strong Chun, because I like watching Chun-Li, and he seemed extremely good. That was cool.
Was that the one that he blew up Tomonagi?
Tominaga, yeah.
Tominaga, yeah, sorry.
Did they play Shirokuro?
Because Tominaga got
they did.
blew up by a Chun-Li. And
Yeah, I think that was right.
Yeah, we know how good he is with Makoto, and like I said, he got blown up. So yeah, that was indication there of tiers of in the game.
Yeah. At some
Matchups,
point.
I should say matchups more than tiers.
But yeah, match Goki versus Piero Remy was a big highlight. I thought that was cool. There was a lot of good stuff. So if you're somebody who likes Third Strike at all, I highly recommend checking it out. Game Newton is the Twitch channel, and also they have a YouTube channel too where they put the archives up. So check them out. We'll have a little bit more on that in the upcoming stuff. Ooh, a little bit more. Let's talk about the next thing. FAT gets Strive. That's correct. The frame data application, FAT, now has info for Guilty Gear Strive. So, check it out. They make a super, super cool app that's really handy. There you already got it. Genius.
I was pulling it up here as well, so there you go.
And have you used it much? Like, what's the utility of it in your mind?
It's fantastic. It's just as good as all the Street Fighter data. It's really cool. Super easy to use. Gives you everything you need. I can't believe that FAT is free. Not fat free, but you know what I'm saying.
I thought you were gonna go there, but yeah okay.
I mean, obviously very, very useful. I don't consider it like necessary like I do for Street Fighter 5, but it's definitely good to have the information just to clarify things. So I'm going to be using it all the time just to double check certain things. So having that available to you, I definitely recommend everybody picking this up because I think it's extremely vital to have this information at your fingertips. That's like one of the nicest things is being able to have this kind of information exactly where you need. God, Garuda has 11 active frames.
It can be like plus 30 or something, dude.
Yeah,
it's wild.
No, if it hits on the 11th active frame, it's plus 30, dude. And so,
There you go.
literally, Garuda into Garuda is a true block string as a result. So there you go.
Yeah.
It sure
Yeah.
is. It sure
So,
is. Yeah, when
I
I play Strive and I'm at home, I have a browser window open to Dustloop. But when I go play with friends, whenever that happens next, I'll definitely have the app open as well.
I just find it super useful for commentary to make sure that I don't say anything stupid.
For sure.
Oh,
Totally agree.
yeah. For commentators, it's absolutely necessary. But FAT...
Matthew, they don't have an official donation page. I don't remember the handle of the creator off top, but he definitely put out a PayPal you can send money to. But Dark Onion, that's what it is. But I think it's like D4 RK Onion or something like that on Twitter.
That sounds right.
And
Yeah.
another thing too to mention is that there was a little bit of drama going on with it because people, when he put out that PayPal, which he's never done before, and people started donating to him, people from the Dustloop site got upset because they felt like he was taking their information from Dustloop and making money off of it because they did all the research, etc., etc. And then Dark Onion then donated all of the money that he got on the PayPal to Dustloop. And I can't remember Dustloop, which is run by Tragic, aka Fight Element. I don't remember if he refused the donation or something, but like it was a lot of drama. But all parties.
He didn't scrape it anyway, right? I mean, I thought he.
What's that?
Right? He didn't scrape it from Dustloop anyway, right?
I don't know. I don't know where he got the information from, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I
don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, Trag tweeted about it and said, "Well, it doesn't matter who gets the info. Somebody's gonna get it." And
right, exactly. So.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, what I'm trying to say is there was some drama with that, but I think it's hashed out between everybody. So yeah.
Yeah. They didn't scrape it from Dustloop anyway. Yeah. All right, whatever. Let's move on. Check it out, though. It's a super cool app. Good work. Briefly, on Virtua Fighter, they have a feedback survey that you can give to them, that you can fill out for them. And they're just looking for like whether you've played it or not and, your feelings about it.
Yeah.
If you have played it, TF5 Ultimate Showdown, then...
And actually, they say in the tweet itself, even if you haven't played it, please fill out the survey. So I would suggest if you do have the time, take a look at it. The survey does ask like a lot of questions about rollback. It's very, very netcode focused, and so I think they're interested in hearing from people who haven't played the game as well, like how important is rollback netcode to you? Because if you haven't played it and you say that it's important, then they'll be like, well, then maybe we should add it so that you will play it, kind of a thing. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I mean they've also talked about in interviews and such how they wanted to use rollback, and things restricted them from being able to do so. So if there is a Virtua Fighter 6 on the way, probably fill out that survey if you care about that game at all. They're going to want all the backup they can get to show to the higher ups, like, we need this to make our game work.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to say on this?
No.
Let's
But
go on.
definitely take a look at it if you get a chance, and if you have the time, please fill it out. Let Sega know, like everybody else, that rollback is important.
Okay, well, let's talk about some stuff that's upcoming. So this weekend there will be Capcom Pro Tour for specifically France, Spain, and Portugal, which is a really specific and cool area that they are actually really being very specific with these smaller spots, smaller regions, so that hopefully the netcode will be okay as they are playing. So good work on that front. That's going to be this weekend. There's also going to be the Cooperation Cup Vampire Savior first exhibitions. Yeah, and even if you're not somebody who likes or even knows anything about Vampire Savior, I really recommend checking it out. It's going to be, again, on twitch.tv/GameNewton. It will be at 1:30 p.m. Japan time on the 31st. So that's... I have no idea. I think it's, what is that, midnight-ish?
You said 1:30
They're 15 hours ahead.
Japan.
So it's maybe like Friday night our time.
To PST. So that would be 9:30 a.m. The previous day. So you said it'll be on a Saturday, 1:30 p.m. Saturday or Sunday?
On Saturday.
On Saturday. So that means
Friday.
it would be 9:30 a.m. Oh no, let me see.
I think so. You're thinking, just type in 13:30 p.m.
13. Yeah, I think I'm just doing
fine.
this wrong. Yeah, it's 9:30 p.m. the day before.
Yeah, that sounds right.
There you go. So, just as an FYI, thanks to Twitter, I got in contact with Matsuda-san, who runs that, and said that he told me that English restreams are allowed, and so I will be restreaming this on Friday night at 9:30 p.m., doing commentary for it. So if you do want to watch some fun Vampire Savior action, follow twitch.tv/jchenzor, and that's where it'll be. And I'll be doing some commentary for it.
They have, I think, is it every character in the game, or is it just like almost every character in the game? Because I don't think they have any repeats on their lineup either. I think it's just.
Oh,
it's
I don't remember. I'd have to double check.
I hope it's no repeats. That would be sick.
It's in the run of show if you're curious about who's in there.
Let me see.
One of the matchups is going to be Kame versus Chikyu. And, James, talk about who Chikyu is. Yeah, there you go.
Chikyu, aka Chikyu Saddam. They call him that because of his Alpha 3 play. He was the best Saddam player in Alpha 3. But he's been playing fighting games freaking forever. I mean, this guy's been playing fighting games for basically his entire... I mean, when he was at EVO 2002, I knew him. We all knew because I was a Saddam player. I was a big fan. He also played MVC2. He did really well in MVC. He was an Acarus player in MVC2. He was super good. And then someone told me that at EVO 2002, I believe it was, that he was 42 years old. And, keep in mind, this is when all the oldest fighting game players in the United States were like early 20s or late 20s. That's what's like the oldest. And so it was like, my God, he's 42 and he's still... One, he doesn't look 42. Two, I mean, we just were amazed that anyone was still playing fighting games at that age. Which probably means he's close to 60 now. Which is kind of...
I mean, if he was 42 20 years ago, then he's...
Yeah.
I would think 62.
And don't forget, he was also, now that I remember, yeah, I mean, Mike Lee says that his shtick is that he likes weird characters. Remember, he won Evo when it was B5 in CVS 1 with Raiden against Jason Nelson in Grand Finals. And he won it by watching Jason Nelson throw out a bunch of crouching medium kicks, and then he did roll into 720 and it caught him and he died. Like
Nice.
like you could do offensive heavy kick and he would stomp on the ground and stomp Guile's leg. So he walked up and went stomp, 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 roll super. And Jason Nelson froze just long enough because of that. And he caught him with the 720 and he killed him. And so Chikyu Sadam, even if you count B5 as an former Evo champion as well.
So I don't know any of the other players that are in it, but I assume that they are all like long-time top-level players too. And again, it's just a really fun game to watch. Every character is really different and unique. The art style's gorgeous.
Entire 2 out of 3 matches can be posted in one highlight on Twitter. Like the 2 minute and 20-second limit, you could probably have the entire 2 out of 3 match. That's how fast this game is. That's like the one thing I always try to tell everybody when they come into Vampire Saber is how fast this game is. It's so ridiculously fast.
Well, I noticed a player named Ho, so that's who I'm cheering for.
Who does Ho play?
The purple vampire guy that was in Marvel Infinite. Jeddah. That's his name. Good old Jeddah. I'm pretty sure it's Jeddah.
Yeah, that's Jeddah. No, that's Jeddah. Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. And then the last tournament that I wanted to point out was that Mortal Kombat New Jersey is happening this coming weekend. It's a really strong local. You haven't put that up, have you?
No, I did not. Well, I didn't put it on the stream, no. Let me put up that artwork here because this artwork is just...
well, let me just prattle on about MKNJ while that's happening.
Dude, this artwork
It's a really strong local in the New Jersey area, New York, New Jersey area. So they're going to have like really top level players. They're even getting a couple dudes who are flying in for it, which is really cool. Nubcakes is flying in from California. So if you like watching Mortal Kombat, this is actually going to be a legit in-person event where they're, still taking precautions as well in person. So hats off to them for that stuff. And it's going to be fun. That's going to be on twitch.tv/Darth Arma. That will be on Saturday, on the 31st. And then, this is Darth Arma's tournament. And then the last thing that I wanted to shout out was that employees at Activision Blizzard are going to be walking out tomorrow in protest of their leadership's reaction to the lawsuit by the state of California alleging really terrible sexual harassment and abuse and prejudice as well. And so that's going to be tomorrow. So if you're somebody who plays Activision Blizzard games, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you to quit, but maybe consider not playing tomorrow in solidarity with that.
Yeah.
Just to make the point, get a little bit stronger as far as leadership goes.
Did you see the tweet that like the statue in front of the building, like they've taped over all the like the quotes on the bottom of it that are like, do better for everyone, blah, blah, blah. Apparently someone went and just like put masking tape over the entire thing, so it's not there. So
okay.
Yeah. Lot of
Damn.
bad stories coming out of there. And again, this is I even talked to Olaf, who worked at Activision at one point in time, and he's talked about he's told me about some of the things that he's had to go through, that he's seen, and stuff that's happened there. So
Yep. When the employees walk out, this is what I'm trying to get at. If you're somebody who again plays those games, just consider not playing tomorrow during that time.
Right.
Okay. Yes, I did suggest that. All right, that's cool. That's all we got. Let's get to the mailbag. We got a few.
Mailbag.
Trying to update all the UI stuff here. Let's go. All right. So this mailbag question is going to go on record as the first mailbag question that could not fit into the envelope here, so I've had to shorten it down here. But the full question here from the mailbag is, all three of you are held at gunpoint once again. LOL. This time,
Once again.
one of you must face off in a first to 5 against the top player in one of your favorite games. You must win or face the consequences. Whose matchup will you choose for the best chance of survival? Is it 1, James's Cammy versus Kusamundo's Honda in ST? Honda's charge moves will require no charge. 2, David's Q versus MOV's Chun-Li in Third Strike, but the Chun will have 50% increased walk speed and meter gain. Or 3, Tuberware's team of choice versus Ryan LV's team, but Ryan LV's team will have infinite X Factor.
Absolutely. No doubt in my mind, the correct answer is Tuberware's team. I bet on Tuberware for sure. I can't beat MOV anyway. I can't beat him in any game, probably. I can't beat him in Third Strike, especially, and I can't beat him on this absurd extreme Chun-Li. And same thing goes for James and his Cammy and Kusamundo and ST and also absurd Honda. However, even if Tuberware would lose against Ryan LV normally, there is always a chance in Marvel 3 in a way that there's not always a chance in Third Strike or ST. You could just get a wild X Factor comeback. You could do it. It's completely plausible. It's not likely, right? But like it's much more plausible than either of the other two.
So I would need more information on the infinite X Factor.
Okay.
If Ryan just starts the game X Factored in level 1 and never changes from X Factor level 1, absolutely bet on me out of these 3. Because if he only has level 1 X Factor, I can Virgil the shit out of him. Like it doesn't take any talent to come from Virgil.
Yeah.
So I there's I think the higher chance if he has infinite X Factor starting level 1 only has level 1. Also, it says I get to pick a team of my choice. I choose 3 Galactuses. Eat that, Ryan.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about. Let's game it, Ryan. Let's game it. That's what I'm talking
Good luck
about.
beating me. You can have all the X Factor you want.
Dude, my favorite thing about this question is that the person who asked the question has the assumption that Honda with no charge actually is a factor in the matchup at all whatsoever.
Right? Yeah, like you're doing headbutts all the time or whatever. Yeah.
Dude, Honda's holding down back in the corner. That's the end of the game right there. If he had instant charge or if it was regular, it's the exact same matchup. It doesn't matter. Honda just sits there. And he's never moving forward, not charging. He's just hand slapping. That's it. So he's basically charged 100% of the time anyway. So, all right. Question number 2. Question number 2. Arctic Shoto via Twitter asks, if all 3 are on at the same time, which would you choose to watch right now? Full offline version of each event. Cooperation Cup, Tobenga League, or Red Bull Kumite?
Well, I'm definitely going Cooperation Cup. That's my answer here. And the biggest reason for that is that there's just not that many big Third Strike events to watch. There's a lot of big Street Fighter V events to watch, which are Topanga, OHR, Red Bull Kumite for the most part. Topanga, I guess, also does Tekken, but there's also a lot of Tekken stuff to watch. There's not a big Third Strike event very often. So for me, this would definitely be Cooperation Cup.
I'm taking Kumite. One reason, they're adding Strive, it seems.
Yeah.
They keep hinting towards that.
They do.
The other reason is just because the production level is so high that it's just more enjoyable for me to watch. I like that, like special invitational type stuff sometimes. And Cooperation Cup is dope, but also I'm not the biggest Third Strike fan. So if there's going to be Strive exhibitions versus Third Strike, I'm going to watch Strive.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, same for me. It would be Red Bull Kumite, because if they do expand it to multiple games, that's definitely something that I would want to see. Plus, another thing too is just, I love the current storylines that are all going on in Street Fighter V. I feel like the storylines right now are super interesting to me. And if they add Strive, then it's a foregone conclusion. So, because I mean, they said Like, didn't they say there was gonna be more than just Street Fighter at the Red Bull Kumite Vegas or something like that? I can't remember.
And the last time they had Strive exhibitions. So
Right, they had Strive exhibitions.
One would
in
assume that
France.
they're adding Guilty Gear.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, Red Bull Kumite for sure.
Yeah, Tiny Text, I had the same reading of this. I was just going to make the joke after these guys were done. If all three are on at the same time, which would you choose to watch right now? Full offline version of each event. Can you imagine watching the full offline version of Topanga League? That actually sounds terrible. I don't want to do that. I wouldn't be able to eat or sleep or what. I mean, I'm just stuck there. I have to watch this whole thing. Horrible. Horrible. Like 5 days of just like nothing but watching video games. So no thank you to that.
Yeah, they probably meant it as, you know, just the finals, you know, but
that is a task. Yeah. No, anyway.
All right.
Good question.
So next question is non-binary netizen via Twitter. If you were to play a tabletop role-playing game, what class would you play, and how would you play them?
Well, in my last D&D campaign, I was playing a dwarf cleric. So there you go. That's the answer.
Look at me. I have friends who want to play D&D with me.
I mean, I hadn't had friends for probably 20 years. In between times that I played D&D, I played it in high school a couple times. And then nobody I knew, people I knew played, but I never played it, I guess is how I'll phrase it, until the pandemic happened and some of my buddies here in LA, rather than getting together to play video games, we got together virtually to play a D&D game. And that was cool.
Shay,
that was my thing.
Nothing would make me happier than playing Dungeons and Dragons with my pals on stream for everyone to watch.
Dude.
But the chances of getting David and James free for a night to do that with me is slim to none.
Also, you never want to play D&D with me. You never.
Oh yeah, James doesn't want to
play D&D with me. You think I get salty at fighting games?
Oh.
Like, this is another level of just pure utter salt. So one of my best friends wanted to really practice being a DM, dungeon master, because it was something he was really interested in. So he got us to all play, and basically I eventually just got kicked out of it because I was no fun to play with at all whatsoever. So, because
you could be the dungeon master? Huh? What do you think about that?
I mean, if I could be a dungeon master, sure, that's fine. No, I just had so many issues with the way D&D works. Like, I really hated it because, like, something happened in our campaign that if my character actually existed in the world would know about, but because I'm James and I don't live in that world, I'm unaware of that thing. So there was something that could happen because James, who is a wizard and in the game but not a wizard in real life, so I have no idea how wizard things actually work, made a poor decision, whereas James the wizard in the actual world would know about this, so he wouldn't have made that poor decision.
You just got to do the research and know like what your options are.
I wouldn't, if I was an adult wizard in that world, I would already know all that information as a child growing up. So I shouldn't be punished by role-playing as something that I should definitely know as the character in that world.
It's a game. I don't know what we're talking about here. We're talking about a game, right?
This is why you don't play D&D with me.
I guess. I think we're talking about a
Fair
game.
enough.
This is why, because that happened, and I got so pissed off. I was so mad, and I literally did not want to play anymore, and I killed all of the mood in the room, and because I was so mad that something happened, because my character would definitely 100% know about it in that world, but because that was the first time I've ever played D&D, I didn't know. And so, yeah, I thought that was bullshit, so I couldn't accept it. And that is why you never play D&D with me.
Next time I play Guilty Gear Strive, I'm going to be mad that anybody can get past my chains. First of all, I am a Time Lord. How are you even going to get me? How is this possible? I'm gonna be mad about it.
So
Wouldn't my character in the game know, because he's a Time Lord, that he shouldn't be there to get hit in that situation?
Time Lord.
Dude,
I
you're
don't know
freaking King the Conqueror, dude. That's what you're doing right here.
Well, spoilers.
Dubo Domo asked, what didn't I know that character should have known? We were trying to interrogate somebody, and so we tied him up, and so he cast a spell that blew himself up. And I was like, wait, that doesn't... What? And he's like, yeah, you didn't tie his mouth so he could still verbally cast spells.
Nice.
And I was like, that's bullshit. Because if I had known about that, then I would have gagged him. Because I'm a fucking wizard. I am a fucking wizard, and I should know this shit. But I don't, because I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before. So I was like, all right, let's redo the scenario so that I know. And I guess you just don't do that in Dungeons and Dragons world. So I was like, this is bullshit. Fuck this. And that was the end of it. So
James Chad, fun at parties.
yeah, no, absolutely. This is why you don't play D&D with me.
You got it. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. Let's see here. Here's the... All right. Next question is, what's your favorite fighting game character you've never learned or picked up?
Interesting. I'm gonna have to go with Super Turbo Dhalsim. Never played him.
You never played Super Turbo Dhalsim?
Yeah,
Never played him.
Actually, really surprising.
Huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I didn't realize that I liked zoners until probably like late 2000s, mid-late 2000s, and by that time I'd already been playing Honda and Gi for a long time, and I just was like, well, I'm just gonna stick with these characters. I don't know. I didn't do it, and now I haven't played ST seriously in so long, so I just never did it. No, but I always thought he was really cool.
I've always wanted to play Magneto in Marvel 3, but I don't have the execution to play Magneto in Marvel 3. I can move with him really well. I can move with most characters really well. But as far as like doing magnetic blast type combos and stuff, just ain't happening, Chief. I tried so hard. I put real effort into learning him at one point. Maybe for like 2 months I tried to learn his basic stuff, and I just couldn't execute it. I would just drop it, and I was like, well, I'm not meant to play Magneto. So I picked Nova. I picked easy Magneto.
It's kind of functions, right? I mean,
I think I would say the other one for me is Morgan in Marvel 3. For similar kinds of reasons. The execution was just not available to me.
Don't believe the lies. Everyone can play Morgan. It's just, do you get tired of churning?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, if you get too tired of churning, then you can't.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it would probably have been anyone in Vampire Savior. Like, I just wish I knew how to play that game at the level that people play it at these days. I played it so much at the beginning, but again, it was the same thing. We had no footage of Japanese players, so I didn't know what the game was capable of at the end. And so, you know, I was doing the things that I was doing that I thought was high level, and it turned out all of it was bunk, basically, you know, and I've just never had the chance to sit down and actually try to learn that game. So, you know, if I could actually play an Icarus or even Felicia or Bishamon to the level that I could, that would be awesome. So
I also think it would be really sick to know how to play Melee at a high level.
that's true too.
Just in general.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in putting in the time, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to do that. But if magically I could make myself just like aware of, and I could just like plug in the Matrix and like now I know Kung Fu, like that would be super cool. I think that game probably looks like it would probably be very, very fun at a high level. And I would play it, I think, probably with Puff.
That's what I would pick too if I played that game for sure.
Oh man.
I just want to make people mad, and she makes people mad.
She does make people mad. Yeah, 16-bit, I can see you liking BB Hood. That makes sense. All right. What do we got next?
All right. Next we have, what are your non-video game hobbies?
Ooh.
My number one non-video game hobbies is Dungeons and Dragons. No, just kidding.
I'm a dungeon master in my spare time.
I mean,
I cook. I like cooking.
What was
I like
that?
learning about cooking. I said I cook. I like cooking. I like learning about cooking. I like learning like food science, like why things taste the way they do,
Cool.
like why you shouldn't buy tomatoes at certain times of year and things like that. I just made a lasagna this past weekend that was just
Oh, dang. Nice.
so.
Thanks
Nice.
for the invite.
Yeah. Hey man, if you, I've invited you to Minneapolis
Yeah,
several times.
I know.
Yeah.
If you come out, I will make you a whole ass lasagna you can take back to LA with you.
Awesome. I would say, I mean, for me, it's hard because honestly, like these past few years, like the FGC has like so consumed my life that I feel like all my hobbies have disappeared. I used to like watching basketball. I used to like doing all these other things. Yeah, my hobbies might just be my cats now, dude. Like seriously, cats.
Oh, look at that boy.
Yeah,
Hello, Miles.
my hobbies might just be my cats. I wish I was playing more of the piano that I used to do. I used to draw comic strips all the time. I still like singing. Singing is definitely still a big hobby of mine. I watch a lot of, I mean, I don't know if you can call watching TV these days a hobby, you know, because that's just so passive, right? And I barely pay attention to the Netflix stuff that I put on half the time anyway. Crossword puzzles right now is a big hobby of mine. I have an app on my phone that just like constant stream of crossword puzzles, so I'm just like doing crossword puzzles all the time.
You made one.
Yeah, and that's why I made one, because I had played so many of them that I was like, I really need to see if I could make one. So but yeah, at this point in time, I feel like it's hard to say this. It's hard to put this in a way that doesn't sound wrong, but my willpower to do anything interesting is like gone at this point in time. And like, I mean, to be honest with you, working on the overlays has actually been something that's been really fun for me to do. I did this whole overlay thing for the Thirsty Games for his Teppen tournaments, because he would always want to set up the players for which decks they have, which ones have been used, and which one they're using. He would always have to manually change which one is loaded and do all this stuff. So I built him the UI that he just picks it, clicks save like we do on the Tuesday show, and boom, it transforms, even changes the colors to the hero colors and all this stuff like that for him. And he was like, oh my god, this has made my life so much easier. And you know, it was just like I get obsessed with that, and like once I start on it, like it's that ADHD thing again, where you start on something and then you get so focused on it. Like it's why like a lot of times when I code, I don't go to the bathroom. Like I'll like need to go to the bathroom, but I will just hold it for like 4 hours because I'm just like coding and I'm so obsessed with it. So that's probably one.
Should get a bottle.
Oh man.
Want to hear a fun story? Fun story. I used
you want to see
really,
some
really
shit, dude? Do you want to?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I used to be really into sports, like professional sports. And the year 2007 NFL draft, the year after the Bears went to the Super Bowl, I obviously am a Bears fan. And I was watching the draft, and the Bears pick was coming up, and I really wanted them to draft Greg Olsen. And I had to see them draft Greg Olsen, the tight end. And I had to pee from like the time the draft started till the time the Bears got I think they had the 31st or 32nd pick. I'm not sure. It was deep in the draft. I literally I had to pee, right? And there was a full Gatorade bottle. So I chugged the Gatorade so I could pee in the bottle and keep watching the NFL draft. That's how serious I was about professional sports at one point in my life.
Wow.
Yep. That's a true story. I'm not proud of it. The whole world can know, though, because it's ridiculous and stupid and funny. Yeah, I chugged the whole Gatorade just so I could pee. And then after the Bears made their pick, I was like, whatever. I can get up to pee now. It's fine. Like, I don't have to see it.
Did they pick who you wanted?
I was sitting there. Yeah, they got Greg Olsen.
Oh, nice. Okay.
They did pick who I wanted. So it was worth it for me in the end.
Look, obviously, everybody here has peed in a bottle. We've all done it.
I will say no.
You've never peed in a. Wait, you've never peed in a receptacle that's not a toilet?
Well, I've peed into a cup at a hospital, right? Like, because they need a urine sample.
I mean, no. We're talking about like you just gotta go. So whatever you see you can pee into, you peed into. You've never done that in your life?
Nope. I have actually incredible.
I don't have the bladder for that.
I actually have incredible bladder control, despite the fact I still remember there was one Evo that I commentated from morning till night, and I realized I had not gone to pee like the entire day. And by the time I got back to my hotel room, I mean, it was pretty epic and felt great. But I was like, wow, how did I do that? Like, that was probably the wrong idea. So, but yeah, I have never peed into a bottle or anything like that for emergency purposes. No.
Impressive. I'm just impressed.
Yeah, it's just never happened. I've peed into grass and bushes and stuff like that, but I don't think that counts either, right?
Nah, that's gonna be some container.
Okay.
Well, David, you're turning green. Is that our last question?
I am turning green with envy at the fact that you guys have answered with your non-video game hobbies, but I haven't yet.
What's your?
Oh yeah, do it.
Mine are. Right now, I'm doing a lot of stuff with this 3D printer behind me that maybe you can't see in the shot. You can't see in the shot, but
I won't believe it till you start giving me new hitbox stuff.
I'm trying to make it happen. It's a process, but it's cool. It's been a lot of fun. I read a bunch. I read history in particular. I take walks. I write a bunch. I've been writing lately. I used to write a lot, and I used to.
We know all about your past writing, David.
Oh, that's right.
Your fanfic history.
That's right. Yeah. But like I used to write poetry a lot, and I got published a bunch, and just haven't done it in 15 years probably. Not since law school, I think. Which is almost actually that's about 13, 14 years ago. So I've been doing that again. That's fun. I like that stuff. It's cool. I think those are the main ones for me. Have I gotten The Verge? No, I haven't yet. But that would be cool. I'm a big fan of. If you're talking about Patrick Wyman's book, if so, big fan. But I haven't gotten it.
Scoop DeVille via Discord. What other properties do you think Ryu and Chun-Li will make an appearance in? MOBA characters, maybe? Call of Duty skins, perhaps?
MOBA, huh? What MOBAs are there that like just have whatever characters that nobody cares about, where they can put in skin? Because like part of the reason that it works in Fortnite is that like nobody like there's not like a character really. Like you have your dude that you customize, but it's not like you're playing like the named characters with actual backgrounds and who look certain ways in other games for the most part.
Just put them in Pokemon Unite, right? I mean, at this point. So.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I'd like to see Ryu uppercut Pikachu, I don't think that'll happen.
That would be so sick.
That would be really cool.
We have seen Ryu uppercut Pikachu. Like, that's
but in not a fighting game.
Okay, because that was what I still remember when Ryu first came out in Smash Brothers, and I put him versus Pikachu, and I uppercutted him with the clean hit with the full motion, and Pikachu died. Like, I just started cackling. Like, it was just like one of the most amazing feelings. Like, there's something that you never thought you would do is clean hit Pikachu with a DP from Ryu and kill him off the top of the screen.
Pikachu got what he deserved. He had it coming. Yeah, I don't know where they fit in or go from here, but I hope it's more.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
All this stuff, all it does is give exposure to Street Fighter, so by all means.
Yep. All right. What do we got for the last mailbag question?
Scoop DeVille comes back at us. Let's see here. Whoops. I should probably paste that in there. There we go. All right. He asks, how severely does getting teabagged in a game affect you?
0%.
1 out of 10.
So wait, if I teabag 10 times, one of those will affect you?
Nah. I'm saying on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 1. Maybe it's not a 0. Maybe the 1 is like, oh, now I might not think you're like a cool guy, but that's the only impact it's gonna have. Like rather than like, it's not gonna like make me upset in a way that makes me play worse. I'll just be like, oh, maybe we like don't go out and get some lunch after this anymore.
This
Or
was
whatever.
like a controversy in KI for a little bit, in the KI
Really?
community of should you teabag or not. And my answer was to go on stage at Frosty Faustings that year and teabag the shit out of Rotendo. So I beat him
Nice.
3-0 and teabagged him every single game. And it wasn't
Ugh.
personal against Rotendo. It was making a point of they wanted to ban teabagging. So I was
Right.
making it a point of how stupid it would be to ban
Stupid.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
It was my own little protest. Yeah, I don't think it should affect anyone. It's literally tapping down on the joystick, man. Like, come on.
Look,
Yeah.
Like, if that messes with your mental, you're not ready to play competitively.
right, exactly, and that's why I've always said taunting should stay in fighting games and stuff like that. Because
Absolutely.
if taunting affects your opponents, then you should absolutely taunt. Like you want to win in any way you can. If Knuckle Do teabagging affects Shanghai during Canada Cup Grand Finals, and that works, then you do it, right? Because then it works. When people teabag me, all I think is that, you know, it's just like, you know, one of those like, oh, you're a cool kid, or, you know, you're definitely buying a giant truck to make up for something kind of thing, you know. It's just, I don't know. It just like, it just doesn't feel like it makes me think less of you. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't affect me. It just makes me think like,
Yeah.
really? Okay, buddy, you think that this is, you know, this is gonna be an effective tactic, so.
Playing Mortal Kombat is impossible for even just a little while without running into somebody who teabags. So if you like, get into a game that will teach you to not care about people teabagging, play Mortal Kombat just for a little bit, and you'll see it constantly, and eventually you just get inured to it because it happens all the time, absolutely all the time. And you can't do somebody beats you in that game, and you're stuck at the fatality screen. You're stuck there for however long that is, 10 seconds or whatever it is, 5 seconds, I don't know. And you just gotta watch their character bounce up and down.
Pew, 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 pew with my RoboCop.
That's what I do.
Now, here's my
All right.
question. Have you guys ever teabagged anybody?
Well, I just gave a little story about
Well,
how I
okay,
did.
okay, yeah. Well, what about you,
Absolutely.
David?
I can't think of anything in particular, but I'm sure I've done it.
Howard.
It's probably happened. Next time, Tupperware and I play, it's gonna be the Teabag Fest.
Probably.
Dude,
Let's
I
be
actually
honest.
want to see that. Actually, that would be pretty
Yeah,
sick.
you can make that happen.
I mean, because I was saying, if David's never teabagged anybody, and I've never peed in a bottle, so you know we're learning all sorts of weird
But
things.
have you teabagged someone?
I have. You know, most of the times I've teabagged someone is when they teabag me, and then they fail to kill me, and then I knock them dizzy, and I get to kill them, and I'll just teabag them for fun. So I'm just like, whatever, dude. Because that usually feels good, especially if you can get them to rage quit. I love it when people rage quit on me. Like, that makes me happy. When people
Absolutely.
rage quit on me, like, I just get, like, ecstatic, so.
Yeah,
It's a badge of honor.
100%. All right, that's it
No,
for the show.
I got one
Yeah.
more thing that I want to talk to you here about. I've got some beef with David here that I really want to discuss. Okay?
Cool.
All right, so I'm going to bring this up on the screen over here.
Okay.
This confidential document was leaked by Arc System Works.
Oh no,
here.
it got leaked.
Yes, this got leaked here, and it has a payment, and it has a public relations and advertising link. Over
I can't
here.
believe this got leaked. Oh
And
no, it's
look
got
at
the
this.
watermark and everything.
Yeah, look at this. Sayjam was paid $89,000 to promote Guilty Gear, right?
Right.
Event
right.
Hubs was $42,000. The Lord Knight
Right.
was $10,000. Look at you, $207,000. I have $75,000 here. I was
Yeah,
paid
you do.
$75,000.
Wait,
You got
can you
paid.
scroll down some more, James?
Oh, it's,
Shit! This, you know what? I don't want to hear from either of you. This is the worst chart. How do I can't even get 10K? Lord
see-
Knight gets 10K. They can't even
See-
toss me $100.
the worst thing about it is when I was negotiating with ArcSys, you know, I consulted David. I was like, how much should I ask for? And he was like, just ask for like 80K or something like that. And I think he was just trying to save a bunch of the money for himself. And so now this document is leaked, and I understand the truth of the matter here. So I just have to call out David here. How could you not help your fellow Ultra Chen members here? Not only did you tell me the wrong numbers, but you didn't help Tubo get anything. What do you have to say for yourself, David?
Forgotten about. James is broke now because of you. How dare you?
Did you ever see the old documentary about lifting weights and being like Mr. Olympia or whatever with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I never
And
seen that, no.
he's being interviewed about the fact that apparently he screwed over one of his competitors, who was one of his best friends, by giving him the wrong advice. And basically what Arnold said was that, well, look, he comes to me for advice. We're competitors, and it's not that hard for me to give him the wrong advice so that I win the entire thing. That's what's going on, James. So, you know what? Next time, maybe you think a little bit further ahead. Maybe you get a disinterested third party. I'm always telling you guys that. Make sure that you get a disinterested third-party attorney to look it over. I'm always recommending that you do that. I'm being honest a little bit there. Yes, am I taking advantage of everybody? Can you put that back up there? Can you put up this this chart yet again?
Dude,
Let me just talk it up a
because,
little bit.
because look what you did with your.
You
the only
can tell
person, the only
who
person
has-
who made more money was like Amazon and Twitter.
No person made more money, and only legal persons in the sense of corporations made more money, because one person on that list knows how to negotiate and write and draft contracts like it's their job. And you can tell from the numbers on that page who it is.
And
I want to know what Sajam got 89,000 of, because it wasn't dollars. It was clearly something else. So I want to know what they paid.
Pokemon cards. It was Pokemon
Yeah,
cards.
89,000 what, Sajam?
But here's the so look. I will tell you right now, there was no luck in you screwing me over that time, David.
Only
So
bad luck for
It was
you.
all skill, dude. Come on.
Skill by me. That's right.
Dang it.
That's right.
Well, I hope
Shout out to
any
me.
one of us gets paid $80,000 for anything ever. That would be great.
Dude, if I got paid
it's like one gig or
75,000,
whatever. Like,
Yeah, just one gig.
if I got paid $75,000 here, like I could. I hate. Look, all right, I'm just fucking exposing everything here. That's more than I've made in like the last 2 years, dude. Like seriously, like if I got that for shilling here, that's more than I've made like in the last goddamn 2 years, maybe almost 3. Okay,
I got paid that much money for one thing fighting game related. I'm sharing with both of you because
seriously,
I don't
dude.
deserve that much money. I can't imagine something I could do that I would deserve 75K in one go. I would have to share
I
with
look
the
over
boys.
influencer contracts for clients, influencer and like affiliate agreements, and I haven't seen hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've seen pretty deep into the tens of thousands of dollars for single events. So that's
Wild.
that stuff happens.
Let's get there someday, boys.
And
That'd be
five
nice.
digits is like all the time.
I mean,
Like,
you remember what?
low 5 digits is all the time.
You remember what Sharpie tweeted, right? She was like, I just got paid more to do a TV show that got canceled and will never be aired than I've ever gotten at any fighting game event.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, they really do, Shock. I mean, when it comes to the absolute highest level influencers, I don't have any clients who do that, so I couldn't tell you what they're making. But when it comes to the clients that I have, who are like, you know, probably mid-high influencer level for some of them. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen 100K, but I've seen like pretty close to that, and I see 5 digits all the time.
That's crazy, dude.
Wild.
That is so crazy. One day,
That's
maybe.
how it goes.
One day.
All right,
maybe.
y'all.
Ugh.
Thanks for hanging out with
it's
us
been
for
a
a
good
couple
show.
hours.
And by the way, David, can I borrow some money? Actually, I need to, because you got this $200,000 from Arxis. I need to buy the season pass so I can play Goldlewis Dickinson. So I'm kind of cool.
Oh boy! All right.
All right. Let me bird everybody here.
Bird 'em.
Oh, bird is going. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. I mean, it's the same as anything else, Dr. Omnipotent. being one of those influencers takes a lot of luck. In that case, a lot of luck.
Big facts.
Man.
Well, see you later, guys.
Bye bye.